It's almost summertime. I don't know about you, but I am so excited. Today I've got over 65 summertime or late spring DIY crafts for you. Hey Bestie, this is Lisa. If you want to craft your best life with me, let's get started right now. I've got these 3 gorgeous metal flowers, and then I've also got one of the stove burner covers that comes with a set of 2. And then I've got some reindeer moss, and I've got several packets of that I'm going to use. First thing though, before I forget, I'm going to put a hanger on the back. I've got this like kind of a ribbon from a gift bag, and I didn't want to waste it, so I just went ahead and glued it on, put some masking tape with more glue, and then I painted it black just to match the back. I'm going to use my Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm going to put it all over the inside of the stove burner cover. I'm going to use it where the edges are turning up towards me. And then I'll just use a foam brush and spread it out. And then I'm going to break down that reindeer moss. And let me tell you, it's messy. It just is. And I'm going to put it all over the glue, and I'm going to do that to the entire thing. Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain. Once I've got it all on there, I'm going to use this spray adhesive that I got at Dollar Tree just to kind of make sure there aren't little pieces that are going to fly off, because that happens with this reindeer moss. So I'm just going to spray it generously, and then I'm going to get out my heat tool and dry it off to make sure that it's not wet when I'm trying to work with it. I'm going to take the little hangers on those flowers and hot glue them down, because we're not going to use those on these. And then I'm going to figure out how I want to position the 3 flowers. Kind of wanted them to overlap and then hang over the edge a little bit. So I'm just going to use a generous amount of hot glue, and I'm going to place each flower on there. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. Something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Oh. I'm going to take these little full flowers. I'm going to take a blue one, a pink one, and then these little teeny white, I don't know what they're called exactly. I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue the little flowers to the center of the flowers just to give them a little more interest. I wasn't super fond of the black circle in the middle of them. And that's it. This one was pretty easy. A little messy, but very easy. Let me know what you think. Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain. Beauty in the mundane. Hack. I am going to use the butterfly portion of that little metal piece, and then I've got this little cute rainbow sign. I'm going to actually use the back. So I'm going to use my heat tool from Amazon and get that thing off there. They can be very stubborn. And then I'm going to unscrew the hanger, because we're going to use the back as the front. So I'm going to sand it down, put a little bit of spackle in there, and sand it down again. Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain. I'm going to use my Agave Waverly chalk paint, which I love, and paint the whole thing. And then I got these wall tiles, and I think I got them at Target Dollar Spot. And I'm just going to put a couple of them on just to give it, a little bit of more interest. And I just love that because it's see-through in the clear parts, so you can see the agave color. I'm going to sand down the edges with my nail file. And then I've got this really gorgeous metal ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to cut it to size with my little nippers and hot glue the piece on. And then I use the side of a scissors to push the sides down. And I put one on each side of the tile. I ordered these really cool papers from Amazon that have like antique looking handwriting and stuff like that. So I figured out the size I needed by kind of rubbing down on the edge of that metal ribbon. And I'm just going to lay down some Mod Podge, and I'm going to set my little piece down and then put some more Mod Podge right over the top. I'm going to cover the whole thing actually in Mod Podge just to make sure everything is nice and sealed. And then I'm going to use my nippers again and just cut off those butterfly wings. I'm not really into fairies, so I decided to take that piece off. And I'm just going to hot glue this right in the middle. I position the wings up a little bit so this would lay flatter, and I'm just going to go ahead and put that right there, just at a slight angle, and I just like the way that looks. As the light
startled our eyes.
I got this packet from Crafter Square of these really pretty green and black and kind of lime colored butterfly stickers. And I'm going to put one right in the middle of the butterfly. And then I've also got this greenery. I believe I got this at the Target dollar spot also. And I'm just going to take two pieces, tie them around the stems, meeting together like a swag with some jute. And I'm doing that one to hold them together, and two, it gives me a place to attach something. And I put some more butterflies kind of randomly on the leaves. And then this one whitish flower, I'm just putting right in the middle. And then I'm going to hot glue the little swag down to each side of the sign. And I love this one. It's so mixed media. You'll have to let me know what you think. My husband really loved this one too. Are you guys into mixed media?
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as
I've got this really pretty round piece of metal. One side looks like a little bit of a chalkboard in the center with some seashells. And then I've got a couple pieces from a Dollar Tree rub-on transfer, another Dollar Tree sign, and then I've got some beautiful scrapbook paper. I'm going to sand off the glitter on the front of that sign, and then I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint and just paint the whole thing. Not a heavy coat, but just because I'm going to put scrap paper on it, I don't want anything to show through. And now I'm going to use my cutter from Cricut to go ahead and cut pieces of the scrapbook paper because it's too big for that sign, but I want to piece it so that there's like a border around the circle metal. I'm going to cut this plaid paper and make a stripe right down the middle. And I'm also going to put some on the very bottom, those little triangles that stick out. So I'm going to lay down some Mod Podge, attach all of those pieces I just cut. And I really like the way this pattern turned out. And then I use my brayer to make sure there are no wrinkles or bubbles, and I will also put some Mod Podge over the surface. And here I'm going to add that plaid down to the bottom, and I'm going to use an X-Acto knife to cut off the excess. I'm going to go over it again with my brayer because I just like to make sure it's flat. I'm going to take that round piece of metal, I'm going to use the back side, and put some hot glue down and just lay it there on the center. And then I'm going to take my rub-on transfers and I'm going to put the You Are a Wildflower above and then the other below, but it wouldn't show very well, so I put a little bit of the white paint over the top, kind of like a dry brush, and then some Mod Podge, and then I dried the whole thing. And now I'm going to lay down my rub-on transfer. And I'm just going to rub with my little wooden stick that I have until it's on there, and then I'll just very carefully pull it off and then keep rubbing if anything decides to stick. And after I do that, I always rub my fingers over the top to kind of burnish it on, so make sure there's no little edges sticking up that might get caught. And once that's done, I'm going to lay down some Mod Podge on that just to seal that in there. I'm loving how this is looking so far. It's so pretty. I've got these cute little blossom fern flowers from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to pull two little pieces with some of the leaves. I'm going to hot glue them together. I'm going to cover that hole in the metal sign with them. And then I'll take the third one, I'll just take the little flower bud part, and I'll put that right in the center with some hot glue. And that's it.
Startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
This one turned out so pretty, and this is one of my husband's favorites. He really, really liked this one. And I love it too. You'll have to let me know what you think about it.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain. Beauty in the mundane.
Windmill signs, and then I don't never use them. So I came up with an idea finally. So this is another Dollar Tree metal hack. And then I've got these two long coastal signs that have the seahorse at the top. I'm going to end up cutting that part off, but I want it to look like wood planks. So what I'm going to do is hold my two signs together, position the windmill where I think I would like it, and then I'm going to use my square to cut a straight line so I know where I'm going to break them in half. Now I'm using this awesome handheld box cutter from Amazon. I love it. It's got a great grip. And I probably went over it 4 or 5 times, and then you're able to just bend it and it just snaps right off. Look at that. Talk about easy. So I did that to both of them, cleaned up the edges, and now I'm going to use some hot glue temporarily just to put them together while I secure them. So So you can see that's just holding them temporarily. That would not be anywhere near enough. So I've got popsicle stick or craft stick scraps, and I'm just going to use those to reinforce the back.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain. Beauty in the mundane. And as the
I'm going to take some jute and I'm just going to hot glue it to the back and make a hanger. And of course, I always use masking tape and then hot glue to secure it. This was kind of a long one, so I did 2 pieces, and that will keep that very, very secure.
light startled our eyes, we let go.
I'm going to take my white Rust-Oleum, linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to kind of dry brush and make this look a little bit distressed. And then I'm going to use my burnt umber. I'm going to mist over the top to make it wet. And then I will take that burnt umber and just kind of blend it in to give the wood a little more texture. I really wasn't too fond of the original color. There's nothing wrong with it, but I kind of like this better. And now I'm just going to position the welcome windmill on the top, put some hot glue, and that's going to go under the welcome part, and then right under the center of the windmill I will add a whole bunch of hot glue and make sure it's nice and secure.
Of disguise. And now there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our
I've got this ivy from IKEA. I've used it before, and I'm just going to cut a couple of pieces. I'm going to make it look like there was like an ivy vine just kind of hanging over the sign. So I put some on the left side that just goes up that whole side and a little bit over it. And then I'm going to take another piece and kind of drape it down on the right side so it hangs low, and that way it looks a little more like a natural vine growing. I love it. Let me know what you think.
yesterday. There was sun and there was rain. Beauty.
Tumbling tower blocks and this metal ribbon, all from the Dollar Tree. I'll also use some florals. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little mini crate. I'm going to be using Aleene's tacky glue and hot glue to attach the pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the 5 pieces I have right here and put them all together like straight in a row. And I'm going to need to do that twice because those are the 2 longer sides of the mini crate.
Remember me, I remember you. I've been thinking about.
Now I'm going to take 2 pieces that I glued on top of each other and put one on either side of the 3 that I put together for the bottom. I glued those together off camera. Now I'm going to take the 2 sides that I created. I'm just going to attach them to the sides.
About you more than ever. I guess I'm lonely. I'm starting to grow old, and I thought my youth would last forever.
I'm also going to reinforce with some hot glue on the inside. Now to give this that crate look, I'm going to take 2 blocks on each side and kind of stagger them a little bit. Now, so here I'm going to put a little bit on each side, and I'm going to take a block and kind of float it, you know, not touching the one below it. I'm going to do another one right above it, which will also not be touching that one in the middle. And that gives it that crate look where you can see through the sides. And I'm going to do the same thing to both sides. I've got these little wooden blocks from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put 4 of them on, one just inside of each of the corners there. You can see how I've done that there. And then I'm going to take the last 2 blocks and just glue them right to the top over those little blocks. And that'll give it like the handle for the little crate. Isn't that cute? I'm going to take the metal ribbon. I'm going to only put it on the long sides, so I cut 2 pieces. Then I'm going to spray with my mister some water on the little crate and then kind of whitewash it with my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. Now I'm going to take the little pieces that I cut of the metal ribbon, and I'm just going to hot glue both sides of it, or ends of it, to the 2 long sides of the mini crate. Easy for me to say, right? I love this as a little embellishment. And I've always got foam around from packages, so I just cut a little piece. I'm going to hot glue it right in there. And then I'm going to take these beautiful wildflowers from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut little teeny pieces off the pics and put them in there with some lavender until I like the way it looks. And I think this would look so cute on a tiered tray.
Take me back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid.
You'll have to let me know what you think. I love little mini things. I just think they're so cute. box to make this really pretty succulent, like hanging holder. I'm going to start off by making a square, and I like to glue the pieces inside of each other, and of course using the hot glue and the Aleene's tacky glue at every seam that I connect them. Once I have the square, I'm going to set a piece where the other two pieces meet on all four sides. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to just put it right where they meet there, and then turn it to the next side, put it right where they meet again, and I'll do that on all four sides.
I've been thinking about you more than ever. I guess I'm lonely. I'm starting to grow old.
Once I have those on, I'm going to take the last four pieces and just add them to the sides that are shorter, and that kind of looks like almost like a little pinwheel kind of a look. I'm going to make 3 altogether of those exact same things. Then I'm going to attach them together so that it makes a kind of a V shape. I wanted it to be slightly angled, and I'm just going to glue them all of the places where they touch. And I just kind of made up this design. Honestly, you can just play with the blocks and do whatever you like. That's what I did.
And I thought my youth would last forever. Take me back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid, 'cause all we had was us.
Now that they're all attached, I'm going to use my mister and put it all over the front, and then I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to very, very lightly whitewash the whole top. I love that look. I just keep doing it. Then I'm going to take my Agave Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to get my brush wet, and I'm just going to very lightly kind of rub the paint across to come out with a much lighter color of the agave by blending it with the white, and I just think that's beautiful. I've got a little sawtooth hanger that I'm going to put on there in the back. And then I've got 3 beautiful succulents from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use my tin snips, and I'm just going to cut the long stem off because it would just stick out in the back. And once I've got all 3 of them cut, I'm actually going to just hot glue them right to each of those centers of the squares, and that's it. This was so easy, and look how pretty it is. You could use any color you want, any kind of succulent or flower. You could even put a little moss around it if you wanted, but I decided to keep it simple, and I think it's just really pretty and fresh.
If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I...
Can't wait to put it in my home. Let me know what you think. Tower blocks and this adorable metal happy sign, which is attached to a little piece of wood, and that's from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take my blocks. I want to make that base longer because we're going to attach something to it. So I'm going to use 6 of the blocks to make more of that stand, if you will. Then I'm going to make a hashtag out of the rest of them. And you'll just see me kind of playing with it until I get it exactly the way I want it. And then I'm going to go ahead and start attaching the base pieces to each other. So I'll do each set of 2, and then I'll put the sets of 2 together.
Think about you more than ever. I guess I'm lonely. I'm starting to grow old.
And you can see how it just kind of extends that other base. Now I'm going to attach the pieces of the hashtag. So first I will make the inner square, and I'm going to put them like inside of each other, if you notice, like so that they overlap. That's how I like to make little squares. They just come out nice and even that way.
And I thought my youth would last forever. Take me back.
Then I'm going to add each of the pieces all around the 4 sides. There's 2 on each of the 4 sides to create the hashtag. Or for some people, the pound sign, whatever you remember.
Back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid, 'cause all we had was...
I'm going to take a screwdriver and I'm going to unscrew the little metal happy sign because I want to paint the base. I'm going to use my Agave chalk paint by Waverly. I'm going to paint the entire base and that other piece that is going to extend the base where it has the 6 blocks.
If I close my eyes.
Now I'm going to take my mister, I'm going to mist the hashtag, and I'm going to start off whitewashing it with my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. And then I'll do both sides. And then I'm going to take the agave and I'm going to whitewash over that. I just love that look. I think it's so pretty.
Think about us, I can see the person I
I'm going to attach the happy sign back to the base by just screwing in the little screws. And then I'm going to attach the base to the base of the happy sign.
I should be. 'Cause honestly, I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying to come back to you because
And the last thing I will do is attach the hashtag to the extended base.
now I see we were meant to be.
And this is just going to say hashtag happy. And I think it came out so cute. You'll have to let me know what you think. I've never seen anything like it, so maybe it's an original. You never know. Beautiful welcome sign, we're going to take a piece of the foam core board and this round wooden sign from the Dollar Tree, which I'm just going to use to get my circle shape. And I'll cut that out with my rotary cutter. I'm going to put a piece of tape, not quite in the middle, because I want to section it off, and I'm going to use my Waverly Ocean Colored paint. It's a beautiful blue. And I'm going to paint down away from the tape and then just paint the rest of that whole bottom piece. Took about 2 coats. And the best part, taking the tape off. Look at that. Who doesn't love that? Now I've got this removable wallpaper from Amazon, and there's a link to my Amazon store down in the description box where you'll find most of my favorite things that I get there, in case you need them too. And I'm just going to pull the backing off a little bit on one end, fold it under, and then take the sticky part and line it up, and then slowly pull underneath to remove the backing. And then I'll get my brayer and I'll start smoothing it out, and that way there won't be any bubbles or wrinkles, and this really makes it nice and easy. You just do a little bit at a time. I saw this beautiful welcome sign on Pinterest, and I thought I could do something very similar by using the foam core board. Now there's excess going around on purpose, and I'm just going to cut little snips and then fold them over the back, because that's the best way to do it without getting weird little points. And then I have this coastal twine from the Dollar Tree. It's like white and twine colored. And I just wrapped it around several times where the blue meets the wallpaper and up at the top. And I've got this metal welcome sign from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put my Aleene's Tacky Glue on the back. And then I'm going to set that over the blue portion. And I love the way that just pops. I am going to wipe off all that excess glue. It does dry clear, but I don't want it to dull the shine on the welcome sign. And then I've got some beautiful florals from the Dollar Tree, and I just took some blue ones and yellow ones and the leaves that go with them, and I cut off the little ends and I hot glued them together and then positioned them just the way I want. You could do this any way that you want, whatever you like.
But smile, do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we
You could get several signs out of one piece of the foam core board, so you actually can beat the Dollar Tree price by making, let's say, 3 signs out of one, so that's only $1.25 instead of buying 3 wooden rounds. So that's a great way to save money and get more out of it.
favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along, and I can't help but feel it.
And when I wrapped that twine around, I left a little bit in the back to make a hanger, and that's it. I hope you guys like this one. Let me know.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would?
Enjoy the little things. That was a 2022 calendar, and I'm going to take all those little pieces on the back. I also have last year's calendar of this same one, and I'm going to take some pieces from there as well. And then I've got these 2 dice from the Dollar Tree. I was going to use them for something else, that's why they're sanded. And then I'm going to take my Kills primer, and I'm just going to go kind of around those edges and the corners, because the paper is going to cover the rest of it. So there you go. Now I'm going to take my celery chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm just going to paint over where I did the white. Now I cut all the pieces, or I'm going to cut all the pieces really tight with my paper cutter off screen. I just wanted you to see which ones I picked, and there are going to be 12 because there's 6 for each dice. And there I am cutting them down. Now I realize I probably need to cut off the corners, so I did that. I'm going to take some Mod Podge, put a generous amount on there, and just make sure it gets all around the edges, and I'm going to attach each piece. I'm going to mist the pieces of the calendar first just to make the paper a little more pliable. I was inspired by Courtney at Creative on the Cheap. She made these cute dice to make decisions, and I thought, what if I made some of these dice for affirmations? I'll link her video and channel down below. I'm going to rub and rub and rub, and then I'm going to add a bunch more Mod Podge on that. I just want to make sure that it lays down flat. And it does if you're patient and you just keep rubbing over it. And there they are. They're all covered now. But I feel like you can see the edges of the paper. So I'm going to take a little chalk marker from the Dollar Tree and I'm just going to write all over those edges on both of the cubes for every one of those little pieces of the calendar paper. And I think it kind of gives it just a little more muted look on the edges, and I'm very happy with that. You can still see the little bit of the celery color in the corners, which is fine. And then I'm going to put a very heavy coat of Mod Podge all over the entire thing. I think this is so fun. If you just need a little encouragement or some affirmations, just roll the dice and it'll tell you something very positive and uplifting. And you know what? You can use that calendar DIY hack is so easy. I'm using the Simply Blessed calendar, and I'm going to take from the back cover the larger piece that we're showing you an example of the month. And I'm just going to cut that out, and it's so cute. It's got lemons. It's very summery, and it says, "Enjoy the simple things." And I found this really cool glass frame at the Dollar Tree, and then I've got this scrapbook paper from Walmart, and I'm picking out this yellow and white one. It's got a pattern in the background. It's probably hard to see. Anyway, so I'm just going to take this apart. It's got 2 panes of glass inside, and what I'm going to do is remove the backing and then take the 2 pieces of glass out and then separate them. And I'm going to use that piece of paper that's stuck on there, and I'm going to use that as a guide to cut out my scrapbook paper. I'm going to go ahead and clean off the glass first. There was a little bit of sticky stuff there. And I'm just going to turn it on the back and use a pencil to trace around that shape, and then I'll cut that out. And that'll become like a layer for the backing of my picture. And there you see I've got that right there. And then I'm going to take my little picture from the back of the calendar and lay it right over the top. And I'm going to use my special tape roller that I got on Amazon. It should be in my Amazon store. I love this thing. No wet glue. Oh my gosh. So easy to use and no mess. You cannot beat that. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick that right in the center there, just eyeballing it. Now, the problem with me eyeballing is that I don't see straight, and so my picture ended up being a little crooked. But I'm going to use my Beacon Fabric Tack glue and just kind of put those edges down on the glass to make sure it stays in place. I'm going to put the other piece of glass over the top. I've cleaned all the panes of glass. And then I'm going to put them back in the frame and assemble it. I told you this was easy. It's so easy. And then I'm going to clean the glass again because I keep touching it with my fingers. And I'm just using rubbing alcohol to clean it. It works very well. And that's it. How cute is that? I love this one. So easy, so inexpensive. Oh my gosh. And when I took the pictures outside, it was so humid that the glass fogged up. So sorry about that. Anyway, you saw it before and you know how cute it really is. But I hope you guys like this one. And a really cute bee-themed placemat I got on the Dayton Air Force Base. And I'm going to go ahead and cut around where that green circle is around and cut off the gray part, only because it won't fit on the pizza pan. And once I get that on there, I'm using these pinwheels I found at the Dollar Tree that look like little bee wings. Now, they're brighter yellow, and I need to kind of pull this all together. So I'm using a folk art yellow paint, and I'm going to do the centers of the flowers, the beehive, and then I'm going to go over each of those little wings and kind of dull that yellow down so that it all ties together and matches better. And I'm happy with that once I do that. The only thing is the black is so black. So I'm just going to brush, like dry brush over the wings, and that kind of blurs it a little bit, and I think that's perfect. Now I'm going to match up 2 wings so that it looks like each one's a bee, and I'm going to hot glue them together, and then I'm going to hot glue them underneath the little placemat. I'm going to take this really pretty buffalo check ribbon that I got on sale at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to start making pleats. So you see I've pleated the entire thing, just folding it like a little accordion. Now every 2 pleats, I'm going to glue the top of them together. Then I'll skip one, and then I'll glue 2 together, and then I'll skip one, and then I'll glue 2 together, and I'll do this all the way around the entire circle. Once I get that done, I'm going to start gluing down about every 3 or so pleats. I will glue it down to a combination of the edge of the pizza pan and the placemat. And I will do that all the way around as well. Now, after I've done that, I will go back and I will add some more hot glue and just kind of secure it in different places all the way around. And I didn't want to cut off the ribbon until I was sure I had enough, because if I cut it, I'd have to add extra pieces, and I didn't want to do that. So that just worked out perfectly to just leave it attached to the strand of ribbon. Now I'm going to turn it over and put my little hanger on the way I always do. Use some kind of a rope, hot glue, and a little piece of masking tape. It's very secure. Now I'm going to make a messy bow. So I'm going to take 7-inch strips of bow, and I'm using all different kinds of bows, and I'm going to use, or ribbons I should say. I'm going to use 3 pieces each, and then before I put it together, I'm going to dovetail all of the ends so that that will already be done and I won't have to deal with that. Now I'm going to stack them randomly, sideways, crisscross, across, and then I'm going to take a piece of jute cord, take it underneath, and tie it in the back as tight as I can. Then I'm going to fluff out my bow, and I'm going to stick that jute cord right through my ribbon that goes around the wreath, and I'm going to tie it on real tight, and then I'm going to hot glue it as well just to make sure it stays in place. This is so cute, you guys. I'm loving this, but I need something for the center of my bow, and I had these little pom-poms from a little Dollar Tree sign that I had taken off. They were pink and yellow, which went with this perfectly, so I just glued them together, and then I hot glued them to the center. And this one's done. I hope you guys like it as much as I do. It's amazing what you can do with a Dollar Tree pizza pan. From the 3D wreath form from Dollar Tree, and these little like ladybug wing looking pinwheels from the Dollar Tree. I'm using my tin snips to pull off the little wings, and I have that in my Amazon store. All my supplies that I use regularly will always be down in my Amazon store. And now I'm just putting them on a piece of cardboard to figure out how big I should make each of the little bodies. So I'm using this little container I have, and I'm tracing out circles. I'm going to make 8 of them. And then I have this really nice cardstock scrapbook paper, and I'm going to cut the circles out. I'm going to use my premium decoupage solution, and I'm going to attach them to the scrapbook paper. And then I'm going to cut them all out. Once I have them all cut out, I'm going to take my brayer and I'm going to rub over the top of them to make sure that they are very well adhered to the cardboard. And then I'm going to take this poly rope that you can get in the automotive section at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut pieces that wrap all the way around each of these circles, and I'm going to hot glue them on. And I'm only going to show you one, but I'm going to do it to all 8 of them. Now I'm going to take 2 wings at a time, and I'm going to hot glue them together. I want them to look like they're in flight. So I'm going to lay each set of 2 over each other so I can try to get them pretty much the same exact size. And once I have done that, I'm going to take those little circles, and I'm also going to do the same thing and hot glue them to the back side or the underside of the little wings. So you just see that little part of the black body coming through, and then I'll lay it on top of the next one so I can try to get them again about the same size each. And I'll do that to all 8 of them. Once all of those are done, I'm going to put that little piece on top of some more cardboard and draw out kind of freehand like a head. And once I get the shape I want, I'm going to cut that out with a utility knife, and then I will use it to trace and make 7 more so that I have 8 of those. And then I'm going to do the same thing with that same scrapbook paper, adhere it using the premium decoupage, and then I'll use the poly rope in black and put that all the way around with hot glue. And then I will hot glue those to each of the little ladybugs, and now they will not only have wings, but they will have a head and a body. This whole thing started when I saw those pinwheels. I immediately knew what I was going to do with them, and it's coming to life here, and it's really fun when you come up with an idea and then you can make it work. I'm using my little snips to take those wires that are holding the wings out, and I'm kind of bending them in because I don't want them in the way. I want to be able to put the heads on and not have the wires sticking out. So I just did that with all of them, and then I hot glued the heads on like I mentioned. and got those wires out of the way. I was gonna snip them off, but I was kind of concerned that the shape wouldn't hold. Now, I didn't have any black chenille stems, so I used yellow ones and a black permanent marker, and I just colored them, and that's how I made their little antennae. And then I just curled the tops and cut them out, and I'm gonna hot glue those to the underside of the head so they're sticking straight out, which you will see here in a moment. And they are so cute. The only thing is I really needed to wait for them to dry because I got black permanent marker all over my fingers. That was not fun. I have this black and red kind of, it's almost like buffalo check mesh that I got at the Dollar Tree a long time ago. And I only had this one little roll, and so I really had to make it work. So I created a little loop, and I had cut up some red chenille stems, and I wrapped them around the ends of the loop and then attached them to the ring. And then I pulled another couple, maybe 2.5 inches, made another loop, wrapped the little chenille stem around that and attached it to the ring. And I literally do this all the way around the entire thing. And then I stretched it as far as I could to make sure that it would fit. Unfortunately, the little ladybugs cover any of the gaps, so that worked out really well. But I thought just to fill in, I wasn't sure what would show in between, so I wanted to make sure that there was some red and black in there, and this just was the perfect solution for that. Now I'm going to lay the ladybugs on there. Basically their head will be facing out and their body will be facing in, and I'm going to hot glue them, and now that mesh gives me something to hot glue to as well. So I'm going to do that with all 8 of them, and then I'm going to turn them over and secure them even more on the back side with a little more hot glue. Then I have this red steering wheel cover that I bought at the Dollar Tree, and I thought I can cover the back of that ring with this so that it will make the back look a little nicer, and it gives me one more surface to hot glue everything to. So I took out some of the thread and I got rid of some of the gathering on just one side of it. Then I hot glued each little piece to it, turned it over, added a little more hot glue, put a red chenille stem as a hanger, and then it's ready for me to add a little sign to the front of it. I'm going to take a little square plank that came in a 6-pack from Dollar Tree. I'm going to find the center, and then I'm going to use a utility knife and just cut it in half, and it cuts pretty easily. I just turn it over and score both sides and the edges, and then it breaks right in half, and then I just kind of clean up the edges. And I'm going to go ahead and use this to make one thin, longer little sign. I didn't have a piece of scrap wood that was just right for this. I'm going to use a little bit of my Titebond adhesive, which is really good, and it works great with wood and all kinds of surfaces. And then a little hot glue for the immediate hole. I'm going to use a nail file from the Dollar Tree to sand all the edges. I'm going to get some scrapbook paper for my first layer. This is going to be like paper crafting. So there's my first piece. And then I have a friend who has a channel who does some amazing paper crafting things. Her name is Linda at FaithChick777 DIY by Design. And she takes her little scissors and she scrapes all the edges of her paper and gives it texture. And I wanted to try this so bad. So that's what I'm doing. And I will link her channel down below. And now I'm going to take that paper that I've scraped all the edges, and I'm going to put it on top of that piece of wood that I assembled. Then I'm going to cut out another piece of scrapbook paper using that same piece of wood as a template, but then I will take my paper cutter and make it a little bit smaller because this will become the second layer. So I'm going to do that, scrape the edges on that. I'm not going to show you, but I'm doing it. And then I'm using my brayer and attach it. I'm going to take a third layer of scrapbook paper, cut that one even smaller. So again, each layer you can see the one below it, and then I'm going to take some paper that's like red that doesn't have a pattern on it, and I couldn't get one whole piece that was long enough, so I put 2 together, and I did the same thing, scraped the edges, I glued that on there, and now I'm going to take some black paint from Waverly, which is called ink, and I'm going to do all the edges. I could have used a marker, and I didn't think of that till after the fact, but you could do that too. Then I am going to use a marker. That's when I thought of it. And I'm going to figure out where the center of the word welcome is and start there. And then I'm going to write my letters. Try to do a little bit of kind of like a ready done font, but by hand. And then I'm going to make a little swirly design on each side, kind of how a ladybug might be flying. And I found a little teeny ladybug when I was cleaning out under my stove. I don't even know where it came from, but I cleaned it up and I am hot gluing it right on there. And it was perfect. It was like this was meant to be. I'm going to hot glue that sign right to the center of the ladybug wreath. And I just think this came out so cute. I hope you guys like it. Definitely let me know. holder that I found at the Goodwill. Gosh, it was last spring, I think. I spray painted it with Rust-Oleum's 2-in-1 paint and primer in the semi-gloss, and I did about 3 or 4 coats, just light ones to build up. And then I've got these little LED wire lights from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use those and these gorgeous flowers from the Dollar Tree that I've had for quite a while. And I'm going to use my snips, which are in my Amazon store linked below, to go ahead and cut all the little flower stems off because I want to put them inside this cork holder. I'm going to turn it into a really pretty floral arrangement with lights, almost to look like a birdcage kind of, but not a birdcage. Does that make sense? This DIY is almost too easy. After I painted it, I'm literally just arranging the flowers inside. I'm not gluing them down so I can change them out seasonally if I want. And then I'm gonna put the light inside and literally, I mean, that's it. It's already got a hanger on the back to hang it up. And just imagine I could change out those florals or put birds in there, whatever it is. Fake birds, not real birds, obviously. And just hang it up. It's so cute. I absolutely love it. And honestly, if you can ever find one of these, you could even use like one of the wreath forms from Dollar Tree, the ones like the football shape or the basket shape hanging planter. You could turn a lot of things into this. I know it's hard to find the exact items at thrift stores, but just use your imagination and take inspiration from this. And that's kind of what I did when I found it. I didn't know I was going to be able to find something like this, but I'm loving how it turns out. And I've already got it up in my house. I'm super excited. I've always wanted something like this. You guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if it's something you would maybe want to try, if you could find something that would work. And the last thing I'm going to do is just pull some of the flower petals through the cage and pull some of the leaves through so it looks like it's kind of overgrown. And I just love it. I didn't want them just stuffed and squished inside there. So to me, this really makes it look cute, like when they start to stick out a little bit. And that's it. Literally, this one is done. I've got this beautiful picture that I designed in Canva and then I printed with my sublimation printer. And then I've got 7, is that 7, 8? I guess I started with 8, and then I'm going to add 2 more pieces of paint stir sticks. I know you guys have been wanting to see some DIYs with paint stir sticks. So I'm just going to cut off the curvy end on 2 of them after I've laid all of them next to each other. And I'm going to glue this to the back to hold them all together. It's just a really easy way instead of gluing in between every single one. And now I'm just going to cut another one the exact same size. And I use my miter shears to cut those. And you'll always find anything I mentioned that's a good tool that I love in my Amazon store if that's where I got it. So now I'm just going to put this face down, and I'm using sublimation paper too. So you got to put it on the coated side. You lay it on top of the wood, put a piece of parchment paper over it, and then I'm going by the specifications of the sublimation paper. It said to put, somewhere between 400 degrees and 40 seconds. And then I've got my little partner over here, Bella, sitting in her bed watching me and not eating her food, of course, but she likes to be there right next to me. Off camera, I removed the paper from the top. So I put a few more supports on the back with those extra pieces I cut off. And I've got this beautiful kind of mauve colored ribbon. It's almost like velvet on top. I cut 2 pieces, and I'm going to put one across the bottom and one across above the bird. And that's just going to be kind of a nice little border. And I'll just put some hot glue underneath it and then around the back. And I'm going to do that same thing with the other piece that I cut. And you'll see that right there. Then I'm going to take my ballet slipper Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to water down my brush, and I'm going to very lightly dry brush, barely even dry brush, over all of the wood pieces. I thought of doing this after the fact. That's why the ribbon was already there. But, sometimes things evolve as you're being creative. It's like a pink wash. And then I've got these pics from Walmart, and I just cut off little pieces, and whatever I did to one side, I did to the other. It's almost like a mini swag. I just didn't tie them together. I just hot glued them. And then there's some pieces that have these little berries on them, and I'm going to put those in the middle. Using my heat press to put that sublimated design on the wood is just such a beautiful way to decorate, plain stir sticks. I can't believe how easy it was to do. And I did put a piece of twine on the back with some masking tape like I always do to hold the hanger, and I think that does a really good job of that. But I still kind of felt like it needed something else, so I added a gorgeous pink flower, and I believe that came from the Dollar Tree. And I'll just cut that off, put some glue on it, and put it right in the center, and I think that just really finishes this one off. I love this one. Let me know what you think. Sublimated design. It's mirrored. You always have to mirror things when you either use heat transfer vinyl or sublimation because it's in reverse. And it says One Nation Under God. And then I got this huge amount of fabric at a thrift store for $2. It's almost looks like a drop cloth, but it's not. And then I'm going to use 2 of these larger paint stir sticks. I had already cut off the curvy ends on these for something else. So I'm just going to measure how wide I need them to be. And then I'm going to take my little miter box. I'm going to clamp down the stir stick because otherwise it's really hard to hold this still. And then I'm just going to take the saw, and I'd already drawn the line. I'm just going to saw that piece right where I need it. And I'll do that with both of them. And I'll use the first one to measure the second one. That way it'll be, very accurate. I'm going to sand down the edges where I cut. And then I'm going to cut out a piece of the fabric by ripping it. I'll start with a cut and then rip. And I measured how big it needed to be based on the design and the stir sticks. You could make this any size you want based on, your design and then the size of the wood that you're going to use. And I love that ripped frayed look. So that's why I chose to do that. It gives it a little bit more of a rustic feel. And there it is. And now I'm going to just go ahead and heat it up a little bit in the heat press. You should always do that with your material that's fabric first. And then I'll take it out and I will lay my design face down on it. And that's why it was mirrored, so it'll come out the right way when you sublimate it. Now, sublimation isn't like heat transfer vinyl. It actually gets into the fibers of the fabric or the wood or whatever it is. I'm going to lay down my parchment paper, go with the recommended settings for sublimation, and as soon as it's done, it will stop, and then the bottom, the top will lift up. You can pull it out. Of course, it's very hot. You have to be very careful. And then I just pulled that piece of paper off, and there it is. Look how beautiful that came out. So now I'm going to attach the stir sticks with some Beacon fabric tack glue. This isn't heavy, so I figured that would be sufficient enough. And then I'm going to take my ocean colored Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to get the wood wet with my mister, and I'm going to kind of do a very light watery coat on both of the pieces of wood all around the edges, and that way I'll have just a really pretty nice blue kind of patriotic feel to this one. I'll dry that with my heat tool so it'll go faster. And then I'm just going to add a piece of twine and masking tape to the back to make a hanger like I always do. I'm going to take some white chalk paint and I'm just going to lightly paint in the stars with a art brush, and it turned out gorgeous. Let me know what you think. Pretty glass star-shaped bowls at the Dollar Tree, and I thought, what a fun idea for like a 4th of July project. So I'm using this blue acrylic paint, I'm using my white chalk paint and some red acrylic paint, and I'm going to make them, one of them red and white and one of them blue and kind of white. So I'm going to first tape off the top and bottom of the one so I can paint the white in the opening. But first I'm going to remove the tag using my heat gun from Amazon, and of course it's in my Amazon store, and most of my tools are there that I've gotten from Amazon in case you're interested. And now I'm going to paint downward from the tape on both sides, downward from the tape, because I don't want anything to bleed. And so I'm just going to do that, and then I'll kind of go touch it up. While that's drying, I'm going to put the blue all over the outside of the other star, and I did like 3 coats. I'm going to add the white chalk paint to the bottom. I don't know why, I just felt like it needed it. So, and you're only going to see it through the glass, so you don't have to make it look perfect. Now I'm going to take the tape off, and actually it came out pretty well. I didn't have to do a lot of fixing of this one, so I have to say that really helped to go the paint down from the tape and not across it. And you can see there's just a couple little spots here and there. So what I'm going to do is take my X-Acto knife and just kind of scrape off the excess because there wasn't that much. And that really doesn't take very long and it's super easy to do. So there's a little hack for you. Now I'm going to take the red, and I decided not to tape the white because I didn't want the paint to get pulled up, so I just went super slow and easy with a very flat top brush, and I went all the way around. While that's drying, I'm going to put Mod Podge all around the outside of the blue and white star dish. And there we are. I put Mod Podge now on the red and white one too, so you can see how they look. But I wanted it just to have a little extra oomph, so I got a wet paintbrush that was kind of a stiff bristle. I got some chalk paint on it and I just flicked it all over. And the fact that the paintbrush was wet is what made this so easy to do. Otherwise, chalk paint is probably too thick and you'd get big globs. And I like the way this was kind of just splattery. I love that look. So I'm going to do it on both of them. And really, that's all there was to this one. It was so easy and I think it turned out super, super cute. You'll have to let me know what you think. You know, it's funny, I don't always think about painting glass, but in this case, I think it turned out really well. You have to let me know if you've ever painted glass, and what do you think about this one? Gorgeous spring rub-on transfer set from Dollar Tree. 3 little succulent containers and some votive candle glass containers. I believe everything here came from the Dollar Tree. And I just heated up the back to remove the tags, and I'm going to lightly sand all around the outside of my 3 little containers. I'm going to that Sage Home Decor paint, 2 coats to cover everything but the inside, and then I'm going to add a coat of Mod Podge to seal them. Now I'm going to look at the transfer and kind of measure and see what I want. I'm only going to do it on one side of the little containers. And they're actually going to be one sitting right side up and the other 2 are going to be sitting upside down. You'll see what I mean here. And of course, I'm just going to rub on the transfer carefully. And then as I remove them, I'll make sure that it's adhered. Otherwise, I'll rub a little harder and get the rest of it off. And then kind of rub it into the little container. And I'll do the same thing with all 3 of these. This particular rub-on transfer set is just gorgeous. I love the florals. If you are not subscribed to my channel, I would like to invite you to do so. I would be happy to have you here. So now that I've got all 3 of my containers good to go with the rub-on transfers, I'm going to put 2 of them together so the tops will be glued together, and they're so light I'm just going to use hot glue on these. You could use E6000 if you're concerned though. And they fit together very nicely. And then I'm going to take some very thin twine from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to wrap it around where the seam is where they meet. That way kind of make it look more finished. And I'm going to wrap that around 2 times before I'm done here.
I remember you. I've been thinking about you more than ever. I guess I'm lonely. I'm starting to grow old.
Now I'm going to take the single one and I'm just going to wrap around right at the very, well, it's the bottom now, but it would have been the top. And there you go. Aren't they cute? And then I'm going to take some E6000 and hot glue combination so that I can glue those little glass votives right on top. And that is it. Talk about easy. And then I'm going to put some little battery operated little votive candles in there. Oh my gosh, this is so, so cute. And it would just look really cute on a shelf or on a tier tray, wherever you want. Let me know what you think. Items for the price of 1 at Dollar Tree. So I've got the salt and pepper shaker. I've got some really pretty lavender that I got at Pop Shelf. And then I've got some Dollar Tree twine ribbon, some coastal twine from Dollar Tree, a really pretty kind of mauve colored ribbon. And I didn't end up using the blue and white one after all. The first thing I'm going to do is take off the lids to the salt and pepper shakers. We will not need them. Now I'm going to take my kind of twine lace kind of looking ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put it around one of them, kind of like, I don't know, just below the top, and then I'm going to do one more just above the bottom. You'll see in a second. And I just kind of put little dabs of glue here and there so that it won't slide around. And at the end I cut it, and now here I'm doing the second one. I'm doing the exact same thing. This ribbon is so pretty. I just love the combination of that kind of lighter color with the regular jute color. Now that I've got that on there, I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm going to just do one ribbon around this one. I'm just going to be doing it kind of below the top there. I'm just going to attach it the exact same way that I did with the other one. I love this ribbon. It almost like has a velvety feel to the top of it. I think I got it at Walmart. I can't remember. I'm going to take that coastal twine that has the twine color and kind of the off-white, and I'm going to put one strand around the top of that ribbon and one strand around the bottom. And I really like the look that it gave it. I think these are going to be super cute and very rustic. So there they are. And now I'm going to add a twine bow to both of them. I'm going to use that nautical or coastal twine from the Dollar Tree. Just going to put a little dot of hot glue in the back so I can tie my just very simple shoelace bow. And then I will trim the little tails on it on both of them and do the exact same thing. I'm going to put one higher than the other just to make them look slightly different. This could not be easier. Is this even a DIY? I'm not sure. But if you're looking for something super fast and easy to do, just add a little bit of decor. Could look really cute on a tier tray or next to something on a shelf. I just think this is so cute, and I love when things are this easy. You could just do them, you know, in 5 or 10 minutes. So easy. So I'm going to take some of that lavender. I'm just going to snip some little pieces, and I'm going to put them in the one, you know, salt and pepper shaker. And then I have another set of greenery that I got. It was off of a pick from the Target dollar spot, and it just thought it looked perfect with that pink ribbon, and I just put that right in there. That's it. We're done. You can't get easier than this. Transfers are so pretty. I didn't end up using the flower one, just the butterflies on this. And this cute little relax word was from the Dollar Tree as well. So what I'm going to do is start cutting out, kind of fussy cutting the butterflies, and just to make them fit. I ended up deciding that I'm going to put them on every other letter. So the R, the L, and the X. And I thought that was just enough, and it really, really looks so cute. So first I cut out the piece, put the parchment paper over. It actually came with that piece. And then I used my little iron mini press that I had. You can use a regular iron, just I put it on pretty high, and I did it for like 40 seconds, but it really wouldn't stick. So what I had to do is use a scraper stick as if it was a rub-on transfer, and then look, it worked great. For some reason it just didn't work with just the iron, and I don't know why, but I figured out a way to make it work, so I'm very excited. And I'm just going to kind of pull off those little ends and kind of scrape them off with my fingernail. Super easy. And then I'm going to start fussy cutting some more just to fill in the gaps. And like I said, I will end up putting this on the first, middle, and last letter. Doing the same process, ironing first and then scraping it on and then removing the top layer. And it just worked so well, and it's starting to look so cute. There it is with all 3 letters done. I really love this. I'm going to take this little foam ball that I got from the Dollar Tree and just cut it into very small pieces because I don't want the foam to show from the front. So I'm just going to put it on 3 spots where it looks like it will kind of be one in the center and then one on either side, because I'm going to take some greenery and stick it in from behind so it's sort of surrounding the back of the word. I'm going to hot glue those little teeny pieces of foam right on there. My glue gun was sticking a little bit, and I'm just going to get the other ones on there as well. This is a really easy DIY, super fast, and it turns out so cute at the end. I think you're going to really like it.
Gonna stay in this moment, gonna lay here on the grass.
Now Now that I've got all three of my little pieces of foam on there, I'm just going to use my nippers and just cut some little pieces of this faux greenery that I got on Amazon, which you can find in my Amazon store, and the link is always in my description box. And I'm just going to put them on there till it looks the way I like. You could add anything you want.
I don't need to feel lonely.
I love this one. It's actually my favorite from this video. Let me know what you think. I think it's so easy. Iron-on transfers from the Dollar Tree, and the instructions are always on the back, by the way, but they are telling you to use fabric, so I figured it out using other surfaces when I needed to. And then I've got these 3 ribbons. They're all from the Dollar Tree and they match the colors, and this cute little house that I got at the Target dollar spot for $3. It's really cute with the little slats of wood. So I'm going to put my transfer where I want it, use the little iron, and go ahead and just do it for like 40 seconds all over, take it off. And then I'm going to cover the whole thing with Mod Podge because I just want to seal it. And I'm only doing that white part of the house. I have this cute jute ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It has a lace look to it. I'm going to cut 2 pieces that fit the size of the roof line of the house. And I'm just going to use some Beacon Fabric Tack glue to attach it right to the top. If you are enjoying this video, I would love it if you could hit the like button. Not only does it tell me that you like this kind of content, but it also lets YouTube know to show my video to other people, and that would be awesome. So thank you. Now that I've got the roofline on there, I'm going to take the 2 ribbons. One was kind of a sheer pink and one was like a green. I'm going to make a little awareness ribbon and then bring down the top to the center. And I'm going to tie in the middle with this twine. I thought that looked really cute on there. And I'm just going to tie a knot.
Gonna stay in this moment. Gonna lay here on this.
I'm going to take another little piece of that jute ribbon and I'm just going to cover the center with it. I thought that would look really pretty and tie it all together. I'm going to dovetail the ends of my ribbon and then cut off those pieces of twine that were left behind. I hadn't done that yet. I'm going to take some hot glue and put it right at the top of the house. So you could stop right here. Honestly, you could even not put a bow if you don't want to. You could stop at any point, whatever suits your decor and your desire. I'm going to add some of the greenery that I have on hand, just little pieces, and I'm just going to put 2 on each side. I thought that would be really pretty. Now, you guys know me. Sometimes I just need to stop, and other times I keep going anyway. I did do one more thing. You certainly don't have to do this if it's too much for you, but I added 2 more of those little pieces of greenery, tied them together with this twine, and then I'm just going to hot glue it to the center of the very bottom of the house.
I don't need to feel lonely. I am finally home at last.
And then I add a little pink rose, and I really love how it turned out. I hope you guys like it too. Transfer. It looks kind of like leopard spots or cheetah spots, not sure. And then Dollar Tree had this little teeny mini cutting board. I was so excited when I found it. I love working with cutting boards. I think you already know that. And then there's some agave chalk paint from Waverly. I'm going to sand down that whole cutting board, every part of it. It was a little rough, actually. I'm going to take a piece of masking tape. You could use painter's tape, whatever you want. And I'm just going to put it diagonally across from one edge to the other. And I'm going to use the paint just on that one side. I'm going to paint downward from the tape. That way it won't bleed. And I'm going to do the edges that are there too. And then look, removing the tape, it came out perfectly. I'll dry it with my heat tool from Amazon. I put the paper on top and the parchment paper and taped it down. And of course, you know, it didn't work again with the heat. It got it partially on there, but I have to use that little stick to rub it on. So it's funny, they're called iron-on transfers, these gold ones, but they're kind of like rub-on transfers. The other ones I used that weren't gold went on perfectly. You didn't have to do any like rubbing with the stick. But that's okay. It didn't take too long. I just went around, and once I realized it was working, I kept checking. Then I went ahead and I literally just pulled that off carefully. And look, it went on there. So cute. I think this is adorable. And I have such a collection of cutting boards. This will be a nice addition. Just kind of something whimsy and fun. And then I just pulled off those edges that were hanging over. I wasn't trying to have it on the sides, just on the front. And I also left the back of this one blank in case I want to make a two-sided one in the future. I'm going to go ahead and use my matte Mod Podge. I'm going to cover the whole thing, front, sides, and the back. That way it's just nice and sealed. I will only use this for decor though. Hey, I hope you guys will come visit me on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok. All the links are in the description box below. I am just going to add some tacky glue and put that white and gold twine. I'm going to wrap it around, kind of crisscross several times, and then I'll glue it on the back to end it and cut off the edge. I just thought it needed something around the handle. And that gold matches the little like cheetah spots.
Gonna stay in this moment. Gonna lay here on the grass.
Once I get that glued down, I am going to make a little teeny shoestring bow out of that same twine and just hot glue it right to the center of where I tied the crisscross twine on the top. And that's it. Super easy, and I think it just came out adorable. Let me know what you think. Left over from an old Dollar Tree sign and some other supplies as I go. And I'm going to also use that folk art yellow paint. I'm going to paint just around the edges of this canvas because you won't really see the rest anyway. I'm going to dry it with my heat tool, always down in my Amazon store. I'm also going to paint the edges. And then I'm going to take those two little circles and I'm going to use these napkins that I got at Dollar General for $1. Aren't they cute? And they're 2-ply, so I'm going to pull them apart. I'm just going to cut out the part with the pattern on it. I'm going to use some white Kills primer, and I'm going to paint the back of those. But first I'm going to put some of the Mod Podge down because it's ripped. It's going to absorb the paint so much. By putting a layer of Mod Podge down, I help that. So I put my regular, primer paint on there. Now I'm going to trace where they're going to be on the canvas and cut my napkins accordingly. Then I'm going to use the Mod Podge and lay down the napkins on both sides of that paint. And then I'll cover the top, of course, with the Mod Podge as well. Then I'm going to take my circles and I'm going to use another set of napkins that I got at Dollar General that were also very cute. 2-ply as well, so I'm going to separate them. And this one says Squeeze the Day and it has a cute lemon on it. And I'm going to cut those apart because I want to use them separately. So I'm going to put Squeeze the Day on one of those circles. And then on the other one, I'm going to take 2 of those lemons. And I'm also putting another coat of the white paint because I could see that it really needed it. Now I'm going to use a nail file to go around the edges after the napkin has dried and then get rid of that excess. Now I'm cutting out the other lemons and I'm going to Mod Podge those to the other circle. There'll be 2 of those. Do the same exact process. This one didn't hang over so I didn't have to sand anything. And I'll just cover them both in Mod Podge. And then I'm going to cut out 2 little smaller lemon pieces from the napkin and I'm going to put it above and below the Squeeze the Day circle that I made. Once that's all done, I'm going to use my yellow, it's actually called lemon yellow, Arteza paint marker. I'm going to go around the edges of those circles so they aren't bare and then let a little bit hang over to the front. And I'm going to hot glue the 2 circles onto the canvas. Isn't this turning out cute? I'm going to take some painter's stir sticks that I got at Lowe's and it was just $1 for 10. I'm going to measure where I need to cut them for the width of this canvas. I'm going to use my little miter shears and cut them. And then I'm going to hot glue them to the top and bottom. And I did sand around the edges of the stir sticks after I cut them so they wouldn't be sharp. And I'm not going to stain them. I like this color, the natural wood with the light yellow sign. I think it looks really cute. I'm going to turn it over and do my usual hang around the back, a little piece of rope, hot glue, and some masking tape. And then this one looks so good. I'm just going to touch up the spots that didn't have Mod Podge on the front, and this one's done. This will go so well with my other lemon decor, and I really hope you guys like it as much as I do. From the Dollar Tree and some watermelon napkins that I found also at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this white chalk paint from Home Decor and I'm going to paint one side of this after I remove the little string. I didn't want the black underneath the napkin that I'm using to decoupage because then it would show through and it would affect the colors of the napkin. Now I'm going to take the napkin out and I need to separate it because it's more than 1 ply, and so that's what I'm doing right now. And then I literally am going to put some Mod Podge on the little tag. And then I'm going to set the napkin right on top. And I'm going to use my brayer and attach it, try to get rid of any bubbles.
It's a hard thing.
Once that dries, I'm just going to very gently rip the napkin off, pushing down, and then I will have my whole entire tag covered. I'm going to poke a hole where there was already a hole, and then I'm going to add Mod Podge to the top. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to trim around the edges and make sure that I get all of the little stray pieces and rough edges off there. So I'm going to trim some little pieces that were from the rind part of the napkin, and I'm attaching them. I don't end up liking how that looks, so even though I did go ahead and do it, I Mod Podged over the top, and then I took out my paint, and I just filled in where the rind should be with the green, and then with the sage, and then I made the little layer with the white, and I think it looks a lot better now that I painted it. I should have just done that from the beginning, but that's how it goes sometimes. Turn the tag over, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint it all green and then use the sage to create the other lines on the rind of the watermelon. I didn't need to paint it white because the green covers the black perfectly.
That your soul will stay hollow.
Now I'm going to take some beads that I got from Amazon, which were wonderful. They're in my Amazon store. And I'm doing 4 of each color, so the green and the white and the red. And I'm just putting them on a skewer stick to make it easier to paint them. And of course, I dry everything in between. I just don't show you every time I do that. And then I'm going to string them on some jute twine. I'm going to put a little piece of tape on the end so it's easier to string them. And I'm just going to do a pattern of green, white, and red. I'm going to repeat that until I've used all of them. And then I'm going to stick the end of the jute twine right through the hole on the tag, and I'm going to attach that with a knot. Next, I'm going to make a tassel. Basically, I'm taking 3 different kinds of twine, and I'm going to wrap it around my fingers. The skinniest one I'm going to do 30 times. The next one I think I'm going to do 15 times, and this last one I'm only going to do like 10 times, only because they're thicker. And I just kept them all separate with a little clip. And now I'm kind of merging them together because I wanted to have all these different colors. I didn't want it to just be the jute twine. And once I do that, I'm going to put it through the loops, and then I'm going to tie that, so now it'll be attached to the garland. And then I'm going to tie a string around just the top portion, and then I'll go and I will snip all the other loops open, and I'll give them a trim because they're all over the place since I used all different kinds of twine, and you know, it just didn't come out even, which is fine. I'm going to make it look great when it's all said and done. Then the last thing I'm going to do is just wrap some more of the regular jute twine around a few times just to thicken up that little section that I have tied off. And I think it looks really cute, and I love all the different colors. Please let me know what you think, and I hope you guys really like it as much as I do. From the Dollar Tree, some buffalo check tissue paper I got from Michael's, and a Valentine's sign that I got at the Dollar Tree. And just removing the little metal hearts, and then I'm going to pull out the rope in the back and the staples, and then I'm going to sand down the holes and fill them with a little bit of spackle. And once that's dry, I'm going to sand it down, and then I'm going to put some tape on the very back, and just to hold the 2 pieces together, and then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to run a bead of hot glue down the middle. And then when you're done, you just remove the tape, and if there's any glue there, you just kind of sand it down, and now I've got my 2 pieces together. Now, I don't trust the hot glue, so I'm going to also put 2 ends of the paint stir sticks that I had cut off from a different project. Now I'm going to paint this with my Kills White primer, and I'm going to give it a good coat of paint. I am going to be covering it with the tissue paper, but I don't want to see that MDF color coming through. I want to see the white coming through. I'm going to measure out how much I need of this buffalo check tissue paper, and once I have it, I'm going to use some Mod Podge, and I'm going to lay a coat down, and then I'm going to put down my tissue paper as carefully as possible. It's a hard thing to know. And I'm going to gently use my brayer tool to run over the top and get rid of as many wrinkles and bubbles as possible. And then I'm going to sand the edges and make sure there isn't any hangover of the tissue paper. Now I've got that lemon napkin. It's a 2-ply, so I'm going to remove the 1-ply from the back, and then I'm going to try to flatten out the folds that are already there. And then I'm going to position it, and you can already kind of see the circle because I tried one and made a mistake. Anyway, long story, it's over with. I fixed it. And now I'm just going to use Mod Podge and attach this one the right way.
That your soul will stay hollow.
Because this napkin is so thin, I'm not going to use my brayer. I'm not even going to use saran wrap in a brayer because it comes right through and it's wet already. So you have to just be super gentle. Use your fingers, keep them as dry as possible, and touch it as lightly as possible. But if you can get them to stay, the effect is very nice. And super gently, I'm going to sand on the edges to get the excess napkin off. I don't want to pull it or anything. So now I'm going to use some Waverly ink chalk paint, which is like black. I didn't have black letters that would work for this, so I am painting gold and blue letters black. And I'm now going to position my letters. And I also needed 5 E's, and out of 2 packages, I only had 3 E's. But I did have 2 extra C's, so I used the C's and then I use a marker and I turn them into E's. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. You have to get resourceful here. I didn't want to run out to the store. And what this is going to say is squeeze the day. And here I come with my Sharpie filling in the little E's. It actually works out really well to do this. So if you ever have this problem, you know how to fix it now. I'm going to put some Mod Podge over the words because I don't want any of that paint to peel off, and this will just seal it very nicely for me. So I'm going to make like 3 layered bows. Literally, I'm just making 3 bows, and I'm using the twist die to stack them. So it starts off as a smaller bow, a medium-sized bow, and then a bigger bow behind. And then I'm going to take the little lemony bow right here, and I'm going to cut a little piece and wrap it around the middle to hide the little twisty tie thing. And then once it's all done, I'm going to take the ends, I'm going to dovetail them with my scissors. I'm also going to put a dab of hot glue under each of the ribbons so that they stay away from the letters and they don't cover them up. And that way you can see all the different ribbons together. Probably should have placed the bow a little bit higher, so I felt like there's a gap there, and I took another one of those little sticker decals and I just put it there. It was just a little lemon. And then I made a little hanger for the back where I put the little rope down, some hot glue, and some masking tape. And then I'm going to get out my craft paper and I'm going to cover the back and then make a little slit for that hanger to come out. I just had a few scraps of buffalo check ribbon left over, so I decided to do a line on the very top and the bottom, and I thought that looked super cute, so I'm happy I did that. But I still felt like there was something missing. So I got this black kind of poly rope that you can get at the Dollar Tree in the automotive section, and I hot glued it all the way around all 4 edges, and then I felt like the sign was done. And I've always wanted to make it, so I'm going to do that today. It takes 70 of the tumbling tower blocks total. We use tacky glue and hot glue, and we're going to start with 2 rows of 8. I'm going to attach them with tacky glue and hot glue on the short sides, and I'm going to do the 2 rows. There they are. I'm going to sand them down a little just to get rid of any excess glue that might have seeped through. And then I'm going to take 4 more blocks and put one on each side of, well, on one side of each of those longer pieces. This is the roof for the windmill. Now I'm going to take 6 of the little blocks, and I'm going to kind of create, I guess that would be what, a hexagon? Oh my gosh, I'm not sure, whatever 6 is. And then I'm going to stagger blocks around wherever there's like an intersection, and I'm going to use the tacky glue and the hot glue, and I'm going to start gluing them together, just starting with the second row because that'll attach it. You can see what I've done there. And now I'm just going to keep going, and you can make this as tall as you want. Since I use 70 blocks, that's how many, you know, I use for the roof and that, so I got like 4 or 5 rows, I believe it is. Now we're going to attach the roof, but first we need to make 2 pieces that it can attach to. So I'm going to take my miter shears from Amazon. And by the way, all the tools that I mentioned that I have from Amazon or supplies are always down in my Amazon store, down in the description box in case you are looking for something like that. I'm going to take a pencil and just draw a quick diagonal line, use the miter shears at the angle that I need, and I'm going to just clip off that corner on 4 of the pieces. It's not really a corner, it's actually like half of an edge. And then I will hot glue 2 together so that it looks like it's pointed at the top, and of course tacky glue. And then I'm going to add 2 more pieces to the bottom of each one because I want to make it a little bit taller. The roof just wouldn't have sat quite right. You wouldn't be able to see anything inside of it. So now I'm going to attach those 4 pieces, one to either side. I'm going to add some extra hot glue on the inside just for extra security. Then I'm going to take the tacky glue and the hot glue, and I'm going to put one side of the roof on at a time and just hold it till the hot glue sets up. This tacky glue, by the way, works almost as good as wood glue, so it just makes sense, but it does dry a teeny bit faster and it makes it easier to keep working. Of course, so does the hot glue. So there it is, and I'm going to go around with the hot glue and just reinforce any seam that I'm concerned about and get rid of my glue webs. You can put a bottom in it if you want, but I decided not to. I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. I'm going to water down the top of the roof, and then I'm just going to kind of whitewash the paint. Not a light whitewash, but a little darker than that. Then I'm going to use my color Ocean and lacquer from Waverly, and I'm going to start doing red, white, and blue. I'm not going to do the inside because you're not going to see that too much. I'm going to cover the whole thing with polyurethane and put some florals. I love this one. What do you think? I'm going to take 30 blocks total, 3 groups of 10 blocks, and then 3 stars from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put my tacky glue and my hot glue and attach each side of 5 to each other and then the whole thing together. I'm going to do that 3 times because I'm making 3 of these squares. I'm also going to add some extra glue on the back side and just like really reinforce those seams, and then I'll just kind of rub it in with my finger. And that does come off super easy with a baby wipe. There they are, all 3 of them. This is going to be a very rustic kind of 4th of July DIY. I'm going to put some tape under each of the stars and tape them down to my paper so I can paint them without them moving around. I'm going to use the lacquer color, the Rust-Oleum linen white, and the ocean blue. And I'm going to do those same 3 colors on each of the squares. Now I am going to distress them by sanding them, so I'm not too worried about the coverage.
Up in my bed, wondering if you have called. The sunlight at my face.
Once they're dry, I will take my sanding block and I'm just going to go around all the edges and then try to get a bunch in the center. I just really want it to look distressed. Of course, I cleaned them off. I'm going to hot glue different color stars on each one so that, of course, it's not the same color star as it is square.
Leave a shadow on the wall.
I'm really loving the way this one is already turning out. I am going to take a nail file and just dull the little stars a little bit too. I've got this scrap piece of burlap. You can see I put some paint on it, but I'm going to cover that up. I'm just going to hot glue each one right to it, and this is going to be how they hang together. Just put a little space between each one. And yes, it did come right up off my desk easy, and I just kind of rubbed away the hot glue before it dried. Now I'm going to put another tumbling tower block in the center of each one because I just want to secure it just a little bit more. And also that way when it hangs, you know, it'll have a nice way to hang on the wall. I need a place to put my little hanger. I'm going to trim the top and the bottom because it was just a little too long there. I only want a little bit of the burlap showing through. And then I've got a little sawtooth hanger that I got on Amazon, and that was another reason I used those tumbling tower blocks on the back.
But if I focus on my mindset, I know it's gonna be alright.
And I love how this one turned out so easy. You'll have to let me know if you would try something like this. Tower blocks and make this beautiful plant stand. I'm going to have 3 groups of 10 and 1 group of 6. Now the way I'm going to do each group of 10 is I'll lay one down, put one sideways, lay one down, put one sideways until all 10 are in a row. And then I will take the tacky glue and the hot glue and put those together, so I will have 4 rows of those that are laying down and facing upward, if that makes sense. This just gives it a more interesting look, a little more textured, and maybe even a little boho. So this is going to be the four sides of the plant stand, or actually it's kind of a plant holder. And then I'm going to put them together. The two sides on one end will go inside of the two sides on the other end. It's just the best way to make it look nice without a weird kind of angled edge at the corners. And you can see I'm just assembling them here, and then I'm down to the last piece and I just put them on at the same time on each end. It's that simple.
I wake up in my bed.
I'm going to go in and reinforce some of the seams on the inside with the hot glue. Now I'm going to take the remaining pieces, and there's going to be two on each corner. So I'm going to put the first one right on top of it, and then I'll add some more glue on the next one and attach it to the base and then the side of the other piece that's there. And so with those 8 pieces, I'll do that to all 4 corners.
Wondering if you have cold. The sunlight at my face and leave a shadow on the wall.
And there it is. And it looks so cute just the way it is. You wouldn't have to do anything. But I'm going to take this little ribbon spindle thing. I'm going to cut off the edges on the bottom and rip off the entire top.
I'm falling down in disarray, 'cause there's no.
And then I'm going to trace the circle onto a piece of burlap that I have. And I'll cut that out. And then I'm going to hot glue it to the very bottom. I want to cover up that ribbon spindle.
Emotions in my head won't go away.
I'm going to take some of that scrap burlap and just wrap it around the edges as well. This is just creating a little piece on the inside for the greenery. In this case, it's going to be a succulent to sit. So it fits right in there perfectly, but I'm going to add some hot glue underneath on the bottom to secure it.
Climbing up a mountain, trying my best not.
And then I'm going to take my Fern Waverly chalk paint. I'm going to paint the entire top section and then just a little bit of the inside and the bottom with that color and leave the rest natural. I'm going to cover it with polyacrylic and then add my succulent. Isn't that beautiful? I've got this beautiful scarf. I used it in another one. Super summery, 4th of July. And then I've got this round glass trivet. And it's got little rubbery kind of their legs on the back. So I would have loved to put this underneath on the glass side to look, so the top would be glass, but it really wouldn't work with this. It would have messed up the whole trivet to take those off. They are really stuck on there well. So I just cut out the scarf that was a little bigger, a piece that was a little bigger, and I'm going to use my matte Mod Podge really heavy on this glass trivet, and I'm going to start laying down the fabric. Again, like I said, it wasn't my first choice. I would have rather have done it on the underside and then added legs, but it just wasn't an option this time. And so I'm just going to keep, doing it in sections and lay down a lot. It takes a while for this to dry, so I went on and did something else while it was drying. But I'm going to get that piece on there pretty well, and I'm going to rub it down with my hands, and then just wipe off my fingers with a baby wipe. I wanted to get rid of bubbles. Now, I did end up getting a few bubbles after the first try because I'm going to put that Mod Podge over the top as well to saturate it. So when the first time it dried, I did poke some holes with a needle just to kind of lay it back down flat, and that worked really well. I'm not sure what I could have done to prevent the bubbling. I think it had to do with using fabric on the glass. So just something to be mindful of. You might want to check it periodically. I did wait and then come back, so maybe I could have caught them sooner. So I used my heat tool from Amazon to dry it just a little bit so I could walk away from it. And then I decided that it needed some more. So first I'm going to trim the edges because I want to make sure now that I have the right size. So I had to do that a couple times because I trimmed it off and then I smoothed it. And then there was still a little bit hanging over, and then I cut that off as well. So just keep an eye on it. It's so easy, you guys. This one is such an easy thing. You just have to kind of watch it because you're attaching like fabric to glass, which is just a weird combination, but it just comes out really, really cute. And I definitely couldn't have painted that pattern on there. That much I know for sure. Now, once that dried, I did decide to come back and use a glossy Mod Podge for the finishing coat because I did want it to be as glossy as possible. So So I put a very generous coat, and this time it wasn't moving around, so that helped. So I really love how it turned out. Use 5 different scarves from the Dollar Tree, and I picked ones that were kind of spring summer colors, lots of blues, pinks, you know, turquoise, that kind of stuff, and they're so pretty. You guys, I can't believe, look at this one with the butterflies. Anyway, I'm going to take out my square, and I'm going to like hold the scarf long ways, and I'm going to measure 10 inches, and I'm just going to cut each one of these scarves till I get however many pieces I can out of this that are each 10 inches long. And there was pretty much 6 for each scarf, more or less. One was a little shorter. And then I'm just going to take each piece in, and there's 3 sections in this little 8-inch wreath form from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to start with the 2 inner rows or circles, and I'm going to do one at the beginning of each section of those 3 sections, and then I'll take the next one. So I started on the outer 2 rows, and then I'm going to go alternating to the 2 inner circles. So if it was like 1, 2, 3, and you were counting from the out going in, I'd start with 1 and 2, and then I'd go around and do that in each section, and then I'd go to the one that is 2 and 3, and I just do that all the way around until I fill up the wreath. And if I have any left, I'll just kind of look and see if there's any gaps and just stick them in there. And it's just such a pretty scarf wreath. It's like a rag wreath type thing. And then I'm going to fluff it. I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm not going to tie like a double knot, just a single knot, because they stay right in place. Now you could leave it just like this, but I decided first I'm going to turn it over and take a little piece of twine and just make a hanger, attach it to the wreath frame. And then I've got this round piece of wood, and you could use anything. You could use a sign that's already done, but I decided I'm going to take that blue and white nautical twine or coastal twine, and I'm just going to glue it on the back and just start rolling it around. And I didn't even need glue until the very end, but you could kind of do this in any design you want. You could start in the middle and go like spirally around. I just decided to do it around the entire thing. So yeah, I probably used too much of the twine, but I was okay with that. And so you can see what it's looking like. When I'm done, I'll cut the end, and then I'll just tie it to the back side to another piece of the twine. Then I'm going to attach 4 little pieces of twine. Like picture if that round piece of wood was a clock. So I'll do 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, and I'm going to tie a piece, maybe about 4 inches of twine to it, and that's how we're going to attach this to the wreath frame. So once I get all 4 of those pieces on, I'm going to hold them to the center on the back, push them through, turn the whole wreath over, and then pull them out and tie them to 4 different places on the wreath form at those same kind of clock points so that it attaches. I hope this makes sense the way I'm describing it, but you also can see it, so I think this will make sense too. It was the best way for me to come up to attach it. I didn't really want to glue it. So I'm just going to fluff it, and that's it. Super easy. Let me know what you think. Easy little DIY. I've got this gorgeous kind of batik pattern, I guess, scarf from the Dollar Tree. And then I've got a purse that was gifted to me by my stepdaughter. Beautiful Coach purse, which I would never buy for myself, but I do love it. So anyway, I thought it's like a navy blue. You can hardly tell. It looks black on this picture, but it's really navy blue. So for summer, I thought if I took this scarf and I would go straighten it all out, long ways, and then I would go to the very center of it, and I take that center part of it. So right now I'm just figuring out where the center is. And once I've got the center, then I'm going to start up at the top of one of the handles. So I'm going to bring it up to the center of the handle, and I'm going to start wrapping the scarf all the way around on one side down to where it meets the purse. And once I have that side done, it'll just sit there now, and I'll go back to the middle, and I will wrap around to the other side. You just want to hold it taut while you're doing this so that it doesn't get too loose. The idea here is you're making like a decorative handle, and I wish this scarf was just a teeny bit longer because it would have made a cuter bow, but you got to work with what you have. So that's just a note to self. Maybe if I could have attached 2 of these scarves to each other, I would have really ended up with something cute. But I love it. I do love how this, dressed up this otherwise just basic color purse. So I'm going to now tie. It was longer on one side, so I decided to pull the bow over to the side and just make a simple shoelace bow. And then I'll fluff it like crazy because it did come out rather small, but it also won't get in the way, which is nice. And when I set the purse down, it won't hit the ground, the bow won't, so that's nice. So I'm just going to fluff it a little bit in several times because, it takes a little bit, and twist it around to get it to lay just the way I want. But think about this. You could do this literally for any time of year, different colors to match your outfit if you were into, doing matching things with your bag. I don't have a lot of purses. I'm just not someone who's into that. So this would be a nice way for me to make a purse kind of match with something. So I thought I would share it because I thought it was a really cute idea. Let me know what you think. And honestly, it could not be easier. Going to be a little more patriotic 4th of July, if you will. I've got this cute star scarf and another really fun kind of whimsical, like watermelon ice cream, all that kind of 4th of July stuff. I've got 2 of the hoops from on Amazon, but Dollar Tree does have bamboo hoops, so you could do it with bamboo hoops too that they sell. But mine happen to have the double with the little screw at the top. I'm just going to lay out the scarf on top of the middle one, take the bigger one and lay it right over the top. I'm going to pull it taut, and then I'll screw the top tighter, and then I'm just going to cut around it. The first cut's just going to be kind of like just to get rid of the rest of the scarf and get it out of my way. And then I'll go in for a little bit of a closer cut. And then I'm going to take my Beacon fabric tack glue, and I'm just going to, on the back side of this, put the glue on the inside of the wood hoop, and then I'm going to just roll it over with my finger all the way around, and it sticks perfectly because scarves are so thin, and Beacon fabric tack glue works amazing. I usually get mine on Amazon, and all of my favorite Amazon supplies are in my Amazon store, which is always down in the description box below if you need anything. Now for the second one, I'm going to use that other fabric again, lay it over that middle hoop, and then take the larger hoop and push it right over the top and tighten it. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Trim it down, pull it taut, and then I will trim it again because I needed some to be able to pull it taut. That's why I don't trim it all the way down the first time around, because you're thinking, why are you cutting it twice? Well, it just makes it easier to work with. See how little it's sticking through? So now I'm going to glue that, and that's the end of that one. And once that's done, I'm going to take some of that nautical twine that I had, and I'm just going to tie it to the top of one of the hoops where the screw is on the back side and make a knot. And then I'll pull the twine as long as I want the hanger to be and tie it to the other one. And when I hang these, it's going to be one hanging higher than the other one. You can hang them separately. You could even attach them together. I just decided to make it kind of like a uneven hanging thing. I thought that would look kind of cute. And you can hang these on the wall. You could hang these over a wreath, like a green wreath, something like that, just for fun. So see how I'm tying it there. Now I'm going to tie the second one. And I did pull out the twine so I could kind of see how long I wanted it to be. So I will trim off the little edges once I've got the knots secure. I decided to make a little loop on the top. That way it would be very defined. I'm laying them exactly how I want them to fall. And then I'm going to make a little slip knot right here at the top. And now it's got a perfect loop for hanging. So you'll have to let me know what you think of this one. I think it's fun. So I've got this hat from the Dollar Tree, and they come with these scarves kind of like glued on them. So I'm just going to pull it off. I didn't get to actually film it. I just took pictures. So I pulled it off. It came off pretty easy. I didn't have to use any tools or anything. It just kind of ripped off, and it did not destroy the hat at all. So now we have this basic white straw hat, and I've got a piece of the star scarf that I already used, and I'm going to pull the rest of it and make it a nice rectangle and put it over the top where your head goes. Then I'm going to wrap it around and bring the two pieces forward so it's like the center of that scarf is on the hat. Then I'm just going to tie, not a double knot, but a single knot across, and literally I'm going to turn it into a bow now, just a basic bow. I'm going to fluff it, and it is the cutest hat. So you could change your hat anytime you want. Isn't this pretty? I thought it was so cute, and it just took less than a minute. So will you try this? been wanting to make this for a while. I'm using some of the larger paint stir sticks as well that I think I got them at Lowe's. And I'm going to get my brush wet with some water. I'm just going to spray it down a little bit because I want to water down the antique wax from Waverly because I'm not looking for a hard stain since this already has a stain on it. I just want to try to make it look a little darker because I'm going to be staining the paint stir sticks. And I'm going to use my Titebond glue and I'm going to attach 2 of the stir sticks together. I'm also going to add a couple dabs of hot glue so it'll hold now while I'm trying to finish the project. Then I'm going to take those stir sticks and I'm going to place them on the back so that just the handle is sticking up, and I'm just going to hot glue those because it's going to be secure enough with that. And I found these Waverly adhesive stencils at Walmart. I love them. Oh my gosh, it's the only time I've ever not bled in a stencil. And I'm going to use the pineapple and it just sticks right down, which is wonderful. And you can reuse them too. They're easy to clean. I'm going to use my maize color, which is like a yellow Waverly chalk paint. And I'm just going to dab on with a sponge brush all through the pineapple. And when it comes to the stem of the pineapple, I'm going to use actually an Arteza marker and just kind of dab it in there as well. And then the satisfying part, peeling off the stencil, and look how good it turned out. You guys, that's the best I've ever done. And then I used a baby wipe and cleaned off the stencil so now it's ready to use again. And I'm going to create these little edging pieces that I'm going to place on the 4 corners, and I'm going to use that maize color and dab it on, and I'm just loving the look. It's just such a nice finished look, and I can't wait to hang this in my kitchen. I've always wanted these little cutting boards with the handles, and they're very expensive. So for this one, I mean, this is nothing. I decided to try to get the handle to match better with the cutting board, and so I added a little bit of the yellow, almost like wiped it on like a stain, and that did kind of help a little bit. I think if I started with the yellow, I would have been better off. And now I'm just putting some Mod Podge over the top to seal it. And then I have this rope from burlapfabric.com, which I will link down below. I love the light color of it, and I am just going to hot glue and wrap it around about 3-4 times, and then I'm going to cut it off at the back, and that'll be, enough of that. And then I'm going to make a little hanger in the back that you can't see on the handle. That way I can hang it in my kitchen, and I just think it's going to be so cute. And my favorite way is to put the rope on with hot glue and then add a little bit of masking tape with some glue underneath it and just trim the sides, and that seems to hold those on really well. Let me know what you guys think of this one. And the month that has the fresh squeezed lemonade. I got this cutting board for $3.99 at the Goodwill. Now I'm going to start sanding it because it's got a couple of spots on it that I don't like. I end up staining it, but I'm going to cut each piece based on those planks. I had a plan when I first started, but I ended up abandoning it, so I started off doing it this way, and then I decided to take my X-Acto knife and fussy cut around everything. You'll see, there it is. It took a while, but I just put a video or 2 on, and that was it. Now I'm going to take my wood finish by Minwax. It's called Weathered Oak, and I'm just going to go ahead and stain the whole thing. This is after I sanded it. This really helps with getting the tone that I wanted on it and making it look more even. I'm going to do that to both sides. Then I'm going to use my Minwax polyurethane, and I'm going to use that for my decoupaging of the stuff I cut out. So I'm going to put a coat underneath, lay down, doing it in sections, lay down the letters and the picture, and kind of push it down lightly with my finger, and then I will go back over the top with the polyurethane. And I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of it. I'm just kind of lining up the pieces, where they matched up, because originally I was going to do them as planks, and then I realized, nah, but I love how it turned out. What do you think? Going to use 4 of the paint stir sticks, which I'm going to cut down with my miter shears. They're in my Amazon store, great tool. Would have to use a saw otherwise to cut these down. And I'm just marking them so that they'll all be the right size. And I end up with 4 of them, and I'm going to glue 2 together and then the other 2 together. And then I'm going to glue them to each other on the sides, and then I'll get a thicker handle because I'm going to take this bamboo cutting board and I'm going to place it horizontal. so it's the long ways across. And now I'm just going to outline where the stir sticks are going to go for the handle, use my tight bond glue, and then after I spread it on, I'm going to put some hot glue all the way around the edges so I get that fast hold while the tight bond is doing its stuff and drying overnight, and that way I can keep working. I decided to try painting that maize color on the bare stir sticks first to see if that would get me closer, and then do the antique wax over the top of that. Just wipe it on with a little baby wipe. And you know, I actually think that worked better, and I will do that in the future if I use one of these bamboo cutting boards, and it matches better the stain. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. And I'm doing the back the same way, put the yellow first and then this wax over the top of it. And now I'm going to do the cutting board just very lightly because I do want to make sure it gets a little bit of that brownish color in there. And now I'm going to get out my stencils again from Waverly, the adhesive ones, and I'm going to take these little pond leaves and I'm going to use my Kills white primer. I'm going to dab that on, and I'm going to put one in the bottom left corner and one in the upper right corner, kind of facing the opposite direction. And then I have another stencil, which is also by Waverly, but they're made out of cardboard, so you really have to be careful. So if you notice, as I'm dabbing, I'm holding down the opposite side with a pencil to make sure that it doesn't bleed. And actually, it worked out pretty well. It's just a little more effort. Take it off, and there's a little break in it, so I just took a little art brush and I filled that in. And I'm going to cover it again with Mod Podge, and I'm going to wrap the rope around just like I did in the other one, and this one's done. And you guys, I love it. Mason jar shape from the Crafter's Square at Dollar Tree. I really love it. I didn't end up using it as a mason jar. And then I've got this plastic cathedral window from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take the twine out of the top of the mason jar, and then I'm going to put the window over it. So I'm going to draw some lines so I know where to cut on the mason jar. I'm going to take my tin snips. This is a tool that I got on Amazon, and let me tell you, if you have arthritis or not strong in your hands, this is a wonderful tool. It came off like I was just cutting scissors, and it's a very sharp edge, so be careful, and the scraps that come off of it are sharp, so again, be very careful. And so now I want that to be what you see when you look through the window. I'm going to take off that little cardboard sign. I'm going to use my heat tool to heat up the glue and pull it off, and then I'm going to use a scraper tool to get the rest. I'm going to sand the entire front and sides of this because I'm going to paint it with my linen white Rust-Oleum chalk paint. I want this to look very farmhouse, and there's grain on that plastic, so it already kind of has a wood grain, and that makes it look a little distressed. Now I'm going to position what's left of the mason jar, which is most of it, on the back. I'm going to hot glue all the way around the edges. I don't want you to see the glue through the front of the cathedral window, and it's so light. Just the edges is great. But I didn't estimate there's still a little hanging over. Well, guess what? Those tin snips worked so well. I literally just went over that top part that's still sticking out, and it came right off. It was so easy. Honestly, this is a great tool to have in your arsenal. It's always in my Amazon store too, because I use this thing a lot. I'm going to take some hot glue and just put it over those very sharp edges to dull them, and that really works, and you don't really see it, but it keeps it safer. And I left the little hanger on there in case I want to hang it up. There it is. That part's all done, and that's pretty just the way it is, but I decided to take some greenery I had from Amazon and make a little swag. Now you could tie this together, or you could just glue it together like I did, and then glue it right on there. And I'm not going to use that flower you see to the left, even though it would be very pretty. I decided to go for these pink peonies that I also got on Amazon because they're just gorgeous and they match with some of the stuff I already have. So I cut off the stem, put a generous amount of hot glue, and glued it right there in between that greenery. You could decorate this any way you want, however it matches in your decor. I just love that pink peony. And that peony came with these cute little kind of pinkish greenery pieces, so I cut some of those off and put one on either side. And that's it. This was so easy and it's so beautiful. It's probably my favorite today. You have to let me know if you like it too. metal DIY. I'm going to use actually 2 pieces of their metal. This cute little metal wreath welcome sign and the bottle cap one. And I got those both in the Crafter Square. I've got these, I think they're ranunculus, and then also these blossom ferns from the Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do is take out the twine at the top of the welcome one, and I'm just going to take a fine art brush and I'm going to paint the word welcome in my linen white Rust-Oleum chalk paint. I'm going to leave the rest of it silver. So there you go, I did 2 coats. Now I'm going to start pulling off some of the greenery off of that blossom fern. I'm going to take 4 pieces and just kind of position them on the inside of the bottle cap. And I will hot glue them down just however I think would look pretty. There's really no right way to do this. I'm going to take some of those little blue flowers off of there. I'm just going to put them around. And I do need to put that welcome sign over it so I can see what's going to be blocked and what isn't. So I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm just going to go around and hot glue that top metal piece to the bottle cap bottom. And I'm going to do it in about 4 or 5 places just to get it on there nice and secure. There's nothing heavy. I'm not worried about it with bearing any weight. So this should be pretty simple to do. I'm going to take off the little, I always want to call them baby tulips, but I think they're ranunculus, and I'm probably even saying that wrong. I'm going to take the leaves off, and I'm just going to take the little bud, and I'm going to put it in those 3 holes on the very bottom, just because I love the bright yellow, and I just think it looks really cute with the blue. Then I'm going to go back to those leaves. I'm going to take 2 and kind of put them on the bottom of those little yellow flowers, and one going one way and one going the other. And then I'm going to cut the 3rd one into 2 smaller leaves and have them pointing like downward. You'll see here what I'm doing. You see how I'm just cutting a leaf shape out of half of it, and I'll hot glue that down. I'll do the same thing to the other piece. If you are enjoying this video, I hope you will hit that like button to let me know to make more content like this. If you haven't already subscribed, I would love to have you here. I really enjoy your company and it's such a fun community. We all chat with each other and I know you will feel so welcome here. And be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. So I'm looking at it, it's a little off center and I'm actually okay with that. I liked it at a diagonal. I'm going to go back and get some more of those blue flowers. I'm going to put some more where there's an opening and at the very top where there's a few holes, and that's it. Talk about easy, and it's so cute. You could even put this on a big wreath right in the center. I think there's a lot of options with this one. If you have a small space too, that'll be nice. DIY is so easy. I've got this little corrugated piece of metal, it's a square, and this little wooden home sign from the Dollar Tree, and it's got a little red carnation. So I thought, let's make this patriotic. I'm going to take a little bit of my linen white Rust-Oleum chalk paint, and I'm going to dry brush it on the metal very lightly. So put some on my brush, dab most of it off, and then just drag it across. And there it is. You could do more or less. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the gray H, M, and E of this sign. And I'm going to do the inside and the edges as well. Very, very light dry brush. I actually ended up doing a little bit more than light, but I like the way it looks. Now I'm going to pull that flower off. You could use a heat tool if it's sticking really well, but it's just glued in there. Kind of straighten up that little hole so I can put it back. And I'm going to take my ocean colored Waverly chalk paint. And I'm going to do a couple coats and I'm going to do just the O on this little sign. I thought that turns it into kind of a red, white, and blue piece, even though there's gray on it, but there's also gray on the metal piece. I think that just goes really nicely together. I'm just using an angled art brush to get into all those places so I don't make a mess, and I'm going really slow so that I don't hit any other parts of this. I'm going to dry it off with my heat tool, and then I'm going to cover the entire home's little block with some Mod Podge just to seal it in. Now once that's done, I'm going to take the little flower, put some hot glue on the back, and you see it's got a stem there. It'll fit right in that hole, and literally that puts that sign back together, and now it's got that patriotic look that I love, and it's still pretty any time of year. I think we're just going to hot glue it on the corrugated parts that face upward, because there's no point in putting it on the other ones because it won't touch the back of the sign. I kind of looked at it to see where it would touch, and I added that, and that's it. Glued it right on there. You could use E6000 with this just to make sure it'll stay. I'm not too worried about it, but it's definitely an option, and we'll definitely hold it there. I love how it turned out. You'll have to let me know what you think. cutting boards. I've got this metal truck from the Dollar Tree from the Crafter's Square section and this cute cutting board from the Target dollar spot. And I'm going to use the side that doesn't have those little like flowers on it. I used a 150 grit sandpaper just to sand all around the entire thing. I've got this butcher block conditioner from Amazon. I learned about this stuff from my friend Courtney at Creative on the Cheap, and what it does is it has a mineral in it that exceeds the requirements for using with food items, so you can condition your wood with this, and then it's food safe. Courtney is full of helpful tips, so I'll link her channel down below in case you're interested. So I'm going to cover every part of it. Then I'm going to go back to the metal truck, and I'm going to take out the twine at the top. I'm going to take some masking tape. I'm out of painter's tape, but honestly masking tape works well. And I'm just going to make a little square in the middle of the back side of my truck. I don't want those lines that were on the front. And I'm going to take kind of like a stiff stippling brush with my Ocean Blue Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to start stippling a square in the upper corner of this square. And then I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint, and I'm going to stipple all the rest of that square with the white. Then I'm going to take my lacquer paint from Waverly, and I'm going to take a smaller brush, and I'm going to stipple stripes. So basically it's going to look like a square version of our flag. But it's so easy because you don't have to be very exact because you're stippling. And the tape will give you nice clean edges. So once I have that on there the way that I like, then I'm going to take the other end of a small paintbrush in the white paint, and I'm just going to start putting some little dots, and I'll dry it with my heat tool. I'm not going to go for perfection on the stars. There's not 50. I'll cover the whole thing with my Mod Podge once it dries, and then I will remove the tape. And I know it's so satisfying. Don't you love it? And I've got this just cute little flag in the middle of my truck. You can still see it's a truck, but I didn't want to get all hung up on that. I just want it to look like a truck with a flag on the back. Now I'm going to position it on the back side of that cutting board. Once I have it where I want, and I'm going to put hot glue all along the back. Now I did this on purpose. That way if I wanted to remove it, I could and change it out for something else. And so now we're just going to take that truck, turn it around and center it again, and put it flat on the cutting board. So easy. And I've got those holes in the upper right hand corner. So I found some really pretty silvery glittery type stars in my stash. I took 4 of them and I put 4 on. I hot glued them on, and that took care of that. And I think it goes with that 4th of July, patriotic theme. And this was so quick and easy. You could put this together on the back of any cutting board you have, and you could do it with any piece of metal. I just used the truck because I had one. I tied the twine at the top, and that's it. How cute and easy, and a nice addition to my cutting board collection. Let me know what you think of this idea. This was from IKEA. I love their lingonberry jam. It's my favorite. Anyway, this one, the label's a little tough. So I used my heat gun from Amazon on this one, and then later I realized it would have been better to soak it in water and then use my little Cricut scraper that I'm doing now. It actually goes faster than the heat tool. So there's a little tip for you. Soak your jar in like soapy water, and it'll help come off much, much easier. I did get it off, and then I'm going to use a little bit of Goo Gone, and I'm going to rub off any adhesive that was left behind. This is a nice size jar, and I end up with quite a few of these. Like I said, it's the one jam that I really like. I'm not a big jam person. Also back with some alcohol because of the stickiness. I want to make sure, and the greasiness of the Goo Gone, I want to make sure that's all gone. I have a bunch of skewers from the Dollar Tree. Saw this on Pinterest, and what it is, it's sort of like a zigzaggy design. So the first thing I'm going to do, I figured out how many I need by just putting a string around the jar and then laying it out and then seeing how many skewers fit across it. So that's how I ended up with these skewers. So it'll be individual for your jar. And then I clip them, so you see how it goes down like a V, and then the next one will go up and then down. It just zigzag. So what I did is I cut pieces from each of those little segments that I put together that were all those sizes, and I wrapped them up with twine so that I wouldn't lose my pieces. Then I opened one at a time, and I used my square ruler to put them in the right order of size, as you see here. Somehow when I was putting some of them on, I don't know how I did it, but I got some of them out of order. Whatever, it still came out cute. But if you really want it to be right, you'll just have to be super careful. I thought I was being careful, but apparently not. So I'm going to use some hot glue, and I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm lining them up on the bottom of the jar, and then adding the next one, trying to go in the order of the design. And And I'm just going to keep doing this with all those little bundles until I get it all the way around the jar. And it's such a cute little way to turn this basic jar into something very decorative. So I'll just let you watch. You can see I'm just going to do the same thing over and over. And there's one complete set. And there I am partway through. If you look closely, you'll see where my design got a little wonky. And there it is. I'll just make sure the good part is facing forward. And then I'm going to take my little nippers. I'm going to clip any pieces that were sticking out too far on the bottom because I want it to sit straight. Then I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint and just kind of heavy dry brush all the way around it. Once that's done, I'm just going to tie a little ribbon around it that I had, and I'm going to put some peonies that I got on Amazon inside, and I think this is gorgeous. I just think it looks so pretty. It's kind of like modern farmhouse kind of boho. What do you think? This is one of my husband's jellies that he likes, and I did soak this one in the water to get it off much easier. And then I've got this armor etched stuff I ordered on Amazon. It's in my Amazon store if you're interested. It's really cool. I'm going to use the Goo Gone to get rid of any of the leftover adhesive, and then I'll run some alcohol over it too to get rid of the kind of greasiness once I'm done. And there's my jar, nice and clean. I've got this washi tape. I'm pretty sure I got it at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to start taping it on, just kind of make, I guess, like geometric designs with it, which is basically lines all over that turn into little kind of triangles in different shapes. You could just do whatever you want with this. I had no plan in mind. I just thought, I just want to create a bunch of little shapes on here, and they didn't have to be the same or even or anything like that. They're definitely not symmetrical. If you want that, just go ahead and plan out your shapes, and then you can do your washi tape too. So whatever you like. So you have to let me know, have you guys been having a lot of rain? I'm not sure what the deal is. Here it is. It's already summer, right? And we've been having so much rain. I am in southern Ohio, and it's just kind of crazy. And it's very green and lush, and I love that. But I just don't know why there's so much rain here. Anyway, let me know what it's like where you are, and if you're enjoying the summer or if you're getting lots of rain like I am. Oh well, I'm sure it'll come and go. So now that I have all the washi tape on, you can see it's just random shapes. I'm going to take my armor etch and I'm going to put a heavy coat in all of the open spaces, and it doesn't matter if it touches the washi tape. We're going to wash it off anyway, but I was being very careful. You don't want to get it on your skin. I probably should be wearing gloves, so I'm just letting you know, if you're concerned at all, definitely wear gloves, and if you want to put a mask on, that makes sense too. I left it on for about 5-10 minutes. I've taken it to the sink, washed it off really well, and now I am pulling off the washi tape. And look at how cool that looks. I mean, that is glass etching without etching anything. So now I'm going to take a little bit of Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm going to take some of this golden white twine I got at Target a long time ago, and I'm just going to wrap it around a bunch over the threads on the jar, and just to dress it up a little. I'm also going to add some little fairy lights that I got on Amazon, and this turned out beautiful. I absolutely love it. Let me know what you think. I think this would be a nice addition to a shelf, a tier tray, anywhere in your home. I think it would just really add a little bit of character and almost a little glam. Thing to do with an Old Spice container. So I cleaned it out, of course, and I'm going to use my Maze chalk paint by Waverly. First thing, I'm going to use some alcohol just to clean the surface, because it gets smudgy sometimes, and so I had already removed the label on this one. I'm going to go ahead and do it. It ends up being about 3 coats because, when you paint on glass, it doesn't really go on heavy. You can still see the strokes and everything, so I wanted to make sure that it got really nicely covered. And there it is, and I think it looks great. And I did all the way up to the top and a little bit on the bottom as well. Now I've got a jot marker from the Dollar Tree. It's one of those two-ended ones, so it's got a pointier end on one and a little thicker end on the other. I am looking at a picture on Pinterest. I cannot draw things like this unless I have a picture in front of me. So if you're good at drawing like bees, go for it. Otherwise, get a picture and just copy it or screenshot the one I did, and then you'll be able to, you know, do the same thing. It is like a little cartoon bee, super simple. You can tell I'm not an artist at all. I'm just going to thicken it up a little bit. Now this marker isn't as dark as I would have liked it to be, so I'm going to go in with a more like heavy duty permanent marker after I get this initial shape on here, and I'm going to start filling things in and making it look even thicker and darker. Be sure you guys talk to each other in the comments. There's some awesome people here. I mean, just the nicest people you'll ever meet. I mean, this is basically just a group of friends, crafting friends. You know, we hang out together, we craft, and you know what? We can share and talk and pray for each other, whatever you want. I just want to let you know that there are just the nicest people here. You are all besties. We're all besties, and I love it. So now I'm filling in some of the little bee elements, and I'm making his stinger a little more pointy. And there's a quicker look of the shape in case you want to screenshot that. Now I'm going to take that heavy duty marker. This one is from Office Depot, as you can see. And I'm just going to go over the whole thing. Now, does that look better? I think that just really made it pop. I'm going to take some white chalk paint, and with a very fine tipped art brush, I'm going to very carefully go in and just paint the wings with the white. And if you notice, I'm painting away from each of the edges every direction, and that really helps keep the paint as much inside the little wings as possible. And just take your time. I think this turned out so cute, and I found this cute little candle holder thing or whatever from the Dollar Tree to stage it with, and you'll have to let me know what you think, because I just think this one is adorable. It's perfect for summer, and I just think it just got all those fun vibes, you know, that we like. I can almost hear the bee buzzing. Can you hear it too? This little plank from Dollar Tree actually has a little twine attached to it, and I don't even have to take it off this time because we're only going to paint on the front and the sides. I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm just going to paint over each of the planks and around the edges and those little inside pieces you see. I don't even need to do the back on this one. Then I'm going to go around each of those edges because it was a little splintery, and I'm going to use a nail file from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to get in there and fix that. Then I'll take my little sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree, and I'll lightly sand the front so I can lay down the decal without any little paint bumps. I'm only going to use one of those flowers. So I'm going to lay down some Mod Podge over the front. And then I'm going to take the decal and I'm just going to place it right on top. And don't worry about those slats. We will deal with that in just a minute. I'm going to take an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to go in between those slats, and very slowly and very carefully I'm going to start cutting right at the edge. Sometimes you have to stab the little point just to get it started, because if you push too hard, it might rip. So I just go super slow. See how it's lifting up, and then I push it back down, and I just go really carefully. So I'm going to do them all on one edge first, and then turn it around and do the second side where you can remove it. So I'm showing you here when I'm doing both sides and how easy that just comes right out. I'm going to do that with all of the slats. Now that I've done that, I'm going to go in with my nail file again, and I'm just going to lightly sand so I can get off any excess paper from that decal that was there. And I'll do that in every single one of the slats. This is turning out gorgeous. I love that look with the slats. I'm going to cover the whole thing in Mod Podge just to seal it, and also go over those edges in case there's any like little fibers from the decal that are sticking up. This may be my favorites, but I think this just turned out beautiful. I'm going to take some greenery that I have gotten from Amazon a while back, and it should be in my Amazon store. And I'm just going to cut little pieces and position them where the greenery on the decal is, kind of bring it to life and give it more of a 3D feel. I think by doing this, it really adds a lot to kind of otherwise flat crafts. I just think it just gives it just that extra oomph, and it's a little more high end. Let me know what you think, or if you've ever done it. It's really a nice, easy thing to do. And I just think it's, like I said, it just brings it to life. And I think this one is just beautiful. It matches with so many things in my home too. You'll have to let me know what you think about it. Today, either that or it's tied for favorite. I've got this faith does not make things easy, it makes things possible scripture, and I've got that beautiful flower wall decal, and then I've got this sign from the Dollar Tree. Now on the front, I'm just going to pull off that rabbit. I'll use it next year for Easter. I'm going to use that Amy Howard at Home One Step paint, and it's like an off-white. I think it's called Bajas, and I'm just going to do a coat on the back side of this, and it's not too heavy. I'm going to lightly sand so it's a smooth surface. Then I'm going to take some craft paper, and I don't even care if it's wrinkled from inside a package. I will reuse it, and I'll hot glue around the edges and just create a backing for my sign. And then all I do is trim around the whole thing, and there you go. Now it's nice and clean. I'm going to take that beautiful flower, and I'm just going to put it kind of towards the bottom at an angle, and I'm just going to press that on. And this one is sticky enough to go on without Mod Podge underneath it. Then I'm going to take my little blade, and I'm going to go around the edges on my cutting mat and get rid of anything that was hanging over. I've got these other decals, and I'm going to cut them out section by section because I want to place them the way I want to. It wouldn't have fit on the sign. It's way too long. So I'm going to start with the word faith, and that's going to go up on the upper left-hand corner. Just going to press that on. Again, don't need Mod Podge for this. Then for it does not make, I'll just put that piece right up next to faith, and then things easy just below it. And then it makes them just below that, but to the left, and then possible to the right below that. And I will add the reference Luke 1:37 in the bottom right. Kind of funny, I was talking to my really good friend Leanne Epp from DIY Beauty on Purpose, and we both found out we were both doing decal videos that were supposed to come out the same day and didn't even know we hadn't even talked about it. So we're going to make this kind of a shout out collab since we're doing it at the same time. And I'm also doing something that she loves to do. She makes a knot out of something thicker than, let's say, the hole on the sign was, and you kind of trim it down and you hot glue it on the front over the hole. I love when she does this, and I thought I'm going to try this. And I'm using this mop head piece of like rope, if you will. I'm going to put those over the little holes, and so I couldn't have got that through those holes. This was too thick, so this is the perfect solution. And then I'll go ahead and just hot glue it on the back where the holes would be so that it looks like I put that through those holes. And then I hot glued it down. I always add a little more hot glue and some masking tape just to secure it. And there you go. So thank you, Leanne Epp. And you guys, I'll have her channel link and video link down in the description box. You will love her. I'm sure you already know her. Anyway, didn't this one come out cute? I absolutely love it. Let me know what you think. Love these butterfly decals from the Dollar Tree. They're gorgeous. I've got these little pieces of wood that I had ordered on Amazon, and I'm just going to make 3. I'm going to use the Amy Howard at Home paint, and I think the color is called Bajas, and I'm just going to paint a coat of the white on the top of each one and around the edges. Don't need to do the back. And we're just going to make 3 coasters, and I just think that's enough. I have so many coasters in my house, I really don't need a whole bunch of them. But I thought this would be such a cute thing for like spring and summer. I love the butterflies. Once I've got them all painted, I'm going to just randomly pick each of the kinds of butterflies I have here and let them hang off the edge, be angled, whatever I think looks nice. If you're kind of a symmetrical person, you could put them on differently than I did. I like them kind of just wherever. I wanted it to almost look like they're in flight, and that's why you don't see all of them. They're kind of off the edge. We will trim that after, but I'm just having fun placing them wherever I want. That's what I like about things like this. There's not a right way. It's just whatever you like. That's what creativity is all about. It's just going with the flow. Like, I'm deciding this as I'm making it, and that's part of the fun for me. If it's too planned out, sometimes I don't enjoy it. It depends depends on the project. Some of them you really do have to plan out, but this one you can just go kind of crazy and whimsy and have a great time. And I hope that you get to do that. I hope you don't feel pressured or like, you know, this needs to be so complicated or hard. Crafting can be fun. It just can be relaxing and fun. And I don't know about you guys, but I need relaxation. I do not do good with that. I don't chill out very well, and crafting helps me with that. Let me know if you have that same issue. So there they are, all 3 of them. I'm going to put them on my little cutting mat, turn them over, and I'm going to grab my little blade cutting thing from Amazon. I love this one because the handle is so easy to hold. Especially if you have arthritis or carpal tunnel or anything, it's really kind of like ergonomically comfortable. So I'm going to do that with all 3 of those until all of the edges are flush. There they are. I love the way this looks. I think the gold with the blue is gorgeous against the white. I'm going to then take them outside and I'm going to spray some clear acrylic on them and let that dry. I want them to be covered because we're going to put glasses on them, and if they sweat, you know, I want them to be okay. So I put about 3 coats, and there they are. And then I've got these little felt, little baby rounds. I'm going to put 4 on each one so that they don't scratch any surface, and that's it. These came out so cute. This could not be easier. What a great gift idea, don't you think? I think this would be fun. And also then you could have coasters for all the different seasons and just for when you change your decor. And it was so inexpensive. You definitely have to let me know if you want to give this one a try. Decal craft. I thought these were the cutest flowers. They're almost cartoon-like, you know, and that they're really cute. And I've got this little mini cutting board from the Dollar Tree, and you guys know how much I love cutting boards. I think I'm starting to have too many. I don't know. I may have to cut back. I can't stop myself, though. I really like them. I sanded it all the way around. It was a little rough, and then I sprayed it with my mister. Got that on Amazon too. And then I'm going to use the burnt umber apple barrel paint. And it looks like there's a lot, but I'm going to use all of that for the entire thing. I'm just going to get my brush, you know, saturated with it and keep drawing from the front and going around the edges. And then I'll wipe off the excess. And actually I did the back separately. I just realized that. And I will do that afterwards once this is dry. And then I'll just do the same thing. So here it is, all done. And it's so cute. It looks like stain, and it was paint, no smells, nothing. I'm going to put some Mod Podge over it before I add the little decals. These decals are so versatile. I have so many of them. If you guys like this, let me know because I could make many more videos using them. So I'm going to put this big flower and I'm going to let it hang over the edge, and then a couple of the little flower petals I'm just going to set right on there. Now these are kind of thicker decals, so they didn't want to lay down as flat, so you'll see I had to kind of like get my brush underneath, make sure there was extra Mod Podge. I even took my finger and kind of pressed down to make sure that it would stick. Whatever it takes, we'll make it work. And then once I get this all over the top and part of the sides, I've got that edge hanging over, and I want it to be on there, so I'm going to fold it over and kind of make that crease a little sharper, putting the Mod Podge underneath and over. And then because it won't lay flat because it's like a curved little edge, I'm going to take scissors and I'm going to cut one little slit right where kind of like the corner of that cutting board is, and that way I can lay it down. And you'll see here it takes a little bit and some pressing down, but eventually I get it to stay. I think the stickiness just isn't enough for this cutting board, so that's why I had to use so much Mod Podge. On the other ones it didn't require quite so much. You see how I'm just pressing that in as hard as I can, and I'm just going to put a lot of Mod Podge over it. And I didn't want to use the spray for this one because I needed the brush to help press it down, and the spray wouldn't have been able to do that. So here we are finishing up with the Mod Podge, and now it's finally laying down. And I'm just going to wrap a little of that golden white twine around it. And I think it's so cute, and it's going to look great with my little cutting board display that I keep changing up and adding to. How many cutting boards do you guys have? I think at this point I have at least 15, maybe. I don't know. There's so many. It's kind of getting crazy. Farm Fresh 2022 calendar. It has the cutest pages. I'm going to use the watermelon page, and I'm just going to pull that out like I have here, and they are so adorable. Some of them have little bites out of them even. I cut them all out individually. Now, I have some faux leather from burlapfabric.com, and this is in gray. I wish I had green, but I'm going to make this work. So I'm going to glue all of the little watermelons onto the back of this faux leather using my Beacon fabric tack glue, and then I will just cut them out individually. Super easy. And once I have all of those cut out with the backs glued on, I'm going to take some Mod Podge and I'm just going to put it over the front because that is paper and I want to seal this in. Next, I'm going to take a green marker from the Dollar Tree. You can use a paint pen, whatever you want. And I'm just going to color in the back side of all of them. I suppose I could have also used paint, but I like the way the marker went on. Now, this faux leather has like a leather texture to it. So once I dry it, I'm going to pick it up again and wait till you see. I'm going to show you in a close-up here. Doesn't that look like almost like a watermelon rind? So that was perfect. I've got some green and white baker's twine and my little crocodile that I got on Amazon. It's in my Amazon store. It's really great if you need to make holes in anything, and it's great for people that have arthritis or, you know, stiff hands, carpal tunnel. I'm going to make holes on each of the like rind corners, and then I'm just going to make the end of my twine a little bit stiffer with some hot glue, thread it through so that you see the twine on the back side, not as much on the front. And look at this adorable little garland I made. I'll just make a little slip knot on each end so it has something to hang it with. And look how adorable. I love this one. You will have to let me know what you think. They're super easy. Dollar Tree calendar hack with the Farm Fresh 2022 and the Simply Blessed 2021 calendar. A lot of us have these in our stash. I've also got these cute little party buckets. They're from like the wedding section. And I'm going to cut out the 2 little calendar pieces that are patriotic from the back, get my 2 little buckets, and I'm literally going to Mod Podge them on to the bucket. But I'm going to use Beacon fabric tack because it's a little bit of a stronger adhesive to get this onto those little metal buckets. So I'm going to cover the back, press it on. It dries fairly quickly. You can just hold it for a moment. Do the same to the other one. And then when I'm done adhering these very well to the little buckets, I'll just put some Mod Podge over the front to seal them. I think these are so easy and versatile. You could put flowers, you could put little candies or mints, you could put them out for the 4th of July or just like on a tiered tray. I think they're so cute and easy, and you could do this with your kids or grandkids too. I think this would be easy. I'm just going to cut a couple little pieces of foam that I got from some boxes with deliveries, and then I'll just stick those little red and white carnations in there. Honestly, you could do whatever you want with these. That's just what I chose to do because they're going on my little tier tray. Anyway, I love these, and I hope you really enjoy these. I love coming up with these super easy crafts that you can do in a pinch. We're getting close to 4th of July, and this really helps with that. So there they are, and I just think they're adorable. Let me know what you think. That there are so many summery pieces in these calendars. So I took this page, gathered together from that Simply Blessed 2021 calendar, just pulled this page out, and I've got this cute little like iced tea kind of cut out glass from Dollar Tree. Just removing all the extra pieces in the tag, and I'm going to trace the size of this onto that picture from the calendar. And we're going to turn this into a kind of a lemon decor. So now you notice there's a couple pieces missing, but I'll just take from the remaining parts of that page and cut them out to match. And I will use Aleene's Premium Decoupage solution. That's just what I had handy at the moment. And I will go ahead and adhere them. And see how I'm just piecing that together? So easy. And you can't even tell. I'm going to cover the whole thing with that same decoupage solution just to seal it. This would look cute outside by the pool or on your patio or deck. I'm going to take a nail file. I'm just going to sand away from the edge and get rid of any excess paper. And I'm going to sand the glitter off of those limes that were on it. Now, I don't want limes, though. I want lemons. So I'm going to use my Arteza paint markers. I'm going to do white, and I'm going to turn those limes into lemons with the yellow. And this is such an easy way to do this, and it's so cute. I'll dry that off, and then I'm just going to hot glue them right onto my little glass or mason jar, whatever it is, just where I think it would look super cute. Now I'm going to take this white and silver mesh tubing and I'm just going to wrap it around, and this will be like the threads on the top of the jar. And I just thought that would add a little bit more interest. I'm going to put a little twine hanger on the back, and I always do hot glue and then some masking tape that holds it really well. Then I'm going to take some craft paper. I like to finish my crafts, you know that. And I'm just going to hot glue around the edges and then cut away the excess. And then I'm going to put some of that premium decoupage solution over my little lemons. I cut out a slit on the back so my hanger could come through and just secured that down. And I think this one is so cute. I mean, you could literally, like I said, hang this outside if you have a get together or on a shelf, wherever you want. I just think it's refreshing and it makes me want to go have some lemonade. I don't know. What about you? The Farmer's Market calendar, I think it's 2021 or 2022, I can't remember, and the Simply Blessed calendar from 2021, and these little dice from the Dollar Tree toy section. You could even use those wooden blocks they have too. I'm going to cut out any pictures on the back that has to do with lemons, anything I can find at all. When I get them cut out, I'll see how they would fit on my little cube, and I'll just kind of snip off the little corners, and that works better because that's just the way that little dice is shaped. I'm going to use my Kiehl's All-Purpose White Primer, and I'm going to paint 2 or 3 coats on the die because I just want to have it totally covered, no orange showing through. Then I'm going to use my Aleene's Premium Decoupage Solution, and I'm going to put that all over and lay down my little pieces. I'm going to be very generous with that because I really want this to stick, and I'm also going to put some over the top to seal it in really well. I love making these little cubes for my tiered trays or just to kind of put next to things. They're just so cute and interesting because there's something on every little side of them. I love that about doing these. I've made several different kinds of these before. Now I had 2 spaces that I didn't have enough calendar pages for, so I have a couple of stickers from Michael's that I had left over from something, and I put them on and put decoupage over them. And then I made little lemons in each of those little like corners, so there's 8 corners, with my Arteza paint markers, and just put a little lemon and a little bit of greenery, and that just kind of did it. These are so adorable. I love them, and another fun and super easy thing you can do with Dollar Tree calendars. Let me know if you would want to try something like this too. Also, let me know if you have any other ideas for different occasions or different things that we could make these for. I'm open to any suggestions. I would love to hear what you have to say. A little bit of a different idea for a calendar video. I've got this piece that has these little clips on it that I got years and years ago. It's kind of like a distressed wood already, and I just unscrewed the little clips and took them off, and you see that picture where it says beach. That is a piece from a calendar that I got at Dollar Tree, but I can't remember which calendar. It's one of the ones we don't usually get with just scenery and stuff, and I'm just going to use it for inspiration. I'm going to take a pencil, and while looking at it, I'm going to try to write the word beach just like they did it. I had to put my arrow off to the right because it wouldn't have fit. Anyway, I'm just going to try to recreate that sign in a way and use the calendar for inspiration. So you can do all kinds of things with the calendars. You can cut them up, use them, or you can use them for inspiration, and that's what I'm doing here. I got this little Dremel thing. It's really for your nails, like if you had acrylic nails, but I'm going to use it to kind of cut out around the edges of the letters and the arrow, and I kind of think it's cool. I like the way it works, and so it's a good way for me to try it out and just see what it would do on things other than nails, because I don't use them very much on my nails. So there it is. I'm actually pretty happy with it. I'm going to combine several paint colors to come up with a color that I really like. So it actually doesn't matter which colors I use. They're all like apple barrel or folk art paint colors that I use. And I'm trying to come up with this sort of like dusty blue, if you will. I'm just taking colors that remind me of the beach. So different blues for the water, tan for the sand, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And then I'm just going to kind of stipple it in there with a little brush. It's very rough wood, so you can't just brush because it would just like sit over the edges. It wouldn't really go. So you have to stipple it in. And I absolutely love how this is turning out. It's actually a very easy and relaxing craft to do. Now, after I got these on, I noticed that I bled into those little areas that I had used the Dremel for. So I'm going to dry this off with my heat tool from Amazon, and then I'm going to go back in with the Dremel and just outline the letters again and get rid of some of that paint that went over the edge. And look how nice that came out. I love it. And I've just never seen anything quite like it. So, I'm not saying it's not out there, but I just haven't seen it. Let me know what you think about this one. Market calendar from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use the page that has the honeybee on it. And I'm going to use a piece of cardboard. It was just a box that I had. I'm going to cut off the bendy parts with a blade, and I'm going to make it slightly bigger than the actual calendar page. And what I'm going to use is something I got from burlapfabric.com. It's a faux brown leather. It is so cool. It's a huge piece of fabric, and I'm going to cut out a square just slightly bigger than my cardboard, and then I am going to take each corner, fold it up and hot glue it, and then I'll come back and fold all the sides in so that I can get a nice square out of it. And if you're wondering why I covered the entire piece of cardboard, well, I didn't think about this till after the fact. I could have just cut out strips for what would really show and save some of that faux leather. My bad. I didn't even think of it till after the fact. Now that I've covered my piece of cardboard, I'm going to take my calendar page and I'm going to use a glue stick from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cover the entire thing generously in the glue stick. And then I'm going to press it down onto my faux leather. And I'm even going to use my little brayer, which is in my Amazon store. It's a great tool for adhering things to surfaces when you've used glue or any kind of adhesive. It's really good at getting out wrinkles and bubbles, and not to say that you'll never get them, but it really helps quite a bit. I have this really pretty ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's burlap with lace going down the middle, and I'm going to put one strip of it across the side over that kind of burlap in the print of the calendar page. I thought, I have real burlap, why not do that and make it more textured and three-dimensional? So I'm hot gluing that right on there, and I'm going to secure it on both sides and then on the back to make sure that it's nice and attached. I have another ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's just lace, and I'm going to put it over the two corners on the right side of my picture here, just to kind of set off the corners a little bit. And I'm going to attach that on the back at the angle so that it goes diagonal across each corner. And then I'm going to take one long piece and put it next to the other ribbon, just covering that end so that all four corners actually do have the lace on them. Now I want this sign to look old and worn, so I'm going to take my Antique Wax by Waverly and I'm going to use a baby wipe, and I'm just going to start by doing the edges and over the lace, and then I realize it's almost just too light in the middle, so I'm just going to do the whole thing, and I go crazy, and but I lightly rub. I'm not going that crazy, just a little crazy. I ordered these upholstery tacks off of Amazon, and they'll be in my Amazon store. They are so beautiful, and this is the perfect project for it. So I'm going to poke them into each of the four corners, add a little bit of hot glue underneath the actual tack, and then later I'll come back and I'll clip off the pointy edge on the back. But how pretty is this? Oh my gosh, I am loving this look so much. Now I've got these skewers. They're the very narrow skewers from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use 4 of them, and I'm going to outline the piece of paper that is the calendar sign, and I'm going to use the antique wax again, and I'm going to stain them, and then I will measure and use my little snips and cut off the edge, make sure that I dip the end into the wax so it doesn't look like a different color, and I'm going to hot glue them down all the way around the entire calendar page. Now, the ones on the top and bottom, I have to poke underneath the ribbon, as you see me doing there, and then I go ahead and hot glue it. And then I'm going to add one last piece over between the two ribbons on the left side. And here's a close-up of me snipping the pointy end of the upholstery tack. Now I'm using a little piece of rope and I'm hot gluing it to the back, and then I'm going to take a piece of masking tape while the glue is hot and put that right over the top. That just really secures that rope down. And then I've cut a piece of craft paper and I'm going to hot glue it to the back and trim the edges of that so that it's a nice finished piece. In order to get my little rope hanger out, I'm going to take my blade and just cut around where the rope is, and then I'm going to pull it through, and then this one is done, and I'm really happy with it, and I hope you guys like it too. section from Dollar Tree. And then I had an old Pringles chip container. I'm just going to cut off the elastic with the little balls. I'll save those in case I need them for something else. And then I've got this gorgeous wall decal, and I'm going to try to position them on there so I can get as much as possible on those paddles. I'm going to trace around it on both of them, and then I would just cut it out with my scissors. This is such an easy thing to do too. You can do so many things with these, just tracing them on there, and you get that beautiful pattern. I painted the back white, and I'm going to sand it very lightly so it's smooth. And then on the other side, I painted around the edges just in case you might see the side when you put the wall tile on. Now, it wasn't long enough to go all the way, so what I'm going to do is paint that little bottom portion white. It's actually not even going to be noticeable in the long run, so I just figured I'd just paint it white. I'm going to take some scissors, and my X-Acto knife actually worked better for cutting off the remaining. It's a little thick to sand it off, so I think the X-Acto knife is your best bet. And I don't think I mentioned, but these are going to be bookends with planters on them. I've got some scrapbook paper that matched really well with that wall tile. So I measured, how long. I cut that Pringles can in half and figured how long I would make them the same. And I'm just going to put the scrapbook paper on with some Mod Podge. And I'm just going to do it in little sections. So I'll just lay some down, start my scrapbook paper, press it really firmly, and then I'll kind of roll it back and do some more and just keep going. It's really easy to do. It's just Mod Podging in the round. So just got to be careful you stay with those edges. Once that's done, I let some hang over because there's no real finish to the part I cut. I cut little slits. I'm just going to Mod Podge them down, and that covers the end. The other end has a metal piece around it. And what I'm going to do is Mod Podge both sides of that paper I put on the inside, and then take some gold metallic paint and do the very bottom metal so it's not silver metal. And then I put some white and gold twine around the top. And one side has a bottom and one side doesn't, so I took an old ribbon spool and I pulled off that, top piece. I glued all the way around and just set it right on there, and that gave me a bottom. Now, that did make it look different than the other one, so I just did the same thing to the other one, so they'd look the same. Now, I'm going to take my paddles and I'm going to hot glue, a lot of hot glue, on the sides of the little planter, and my goal is to have the pattern side of the paddles towards the planter. I'm going to put some foam on the inside of the little planters, and I'm going to use some gorgeous flowers that I got from, I believe, Dollar Tree. If not Dollar Tree, it was Hobby Lobby, and then I got some of these other greenery pieces from Amazon. Now I've got bookends that are adorable, and they're so functional. I love it. Let me know what you think.
Remember me, I remember you. I've been thinking about you more than ever. I guess I'm
Wall decals or tiles are so cool. This one had 4 in this pack that you could use, or actually you got to cut it out if you want to make it 4. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I've got this cute little palette from Dollar Tree that has a hanger on it already. It's just like a mini one. And I'm literally going to paint the whole thing with my Sterling linen white chalk paint. I don't even need to paint the back, honestly, because it's going to hang on the wall. But I do paint the sides and those little pieces that you see underneath, because I do want to make sure that it just always looks white. But the back is the natural wood is a nice finish. And now I cut out that one piece, and I'm literally going to figure out the center, take off the backing, and just place it right on the center. I'm going to take some Mod Podge, and I'm going to cover the whole thing, and I use the matte Mod Podge. I'm just going to dry it real quick with my heat tool from Amazon. I've got some little greenery pieces that came off a pick from the Dollar Tree. And then I got these beautiful roses. I believe those are probably from Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to hot glue the little greenery pieces right to the bottom. I'm basically making a swag. I didn't tie these together because they're very light and I know the hot glue will hold them. So that's what I decided to do there. And once I get both of the pieces on there, I'm going to take just one of the rosebuds and one of the little leaf sets that comes with it, and I will hot glue the little leaf. They come together, they're attached. There's 2 or 3 leaves on there. I'll hot glue that in the middle and then hot glue the little rose right to the center of that, and you'll see what I'm doing right here.
I've been thinking about you more than ever. I guess I'm lonely. I'm starting to grow old, and I thought my youth would last forever.
I I think those leaves are really pretty. That's why I wanted to keep them on there. This is the darker green against that lighter green. And then I'm going to take my little clippers and I'm just going to cut off the little pointy part on the back of the rose. I'm going to add hot glue there so it doesn't come apart, and then make sure I have enough hot glue there also to attach it right in the center of those 3 larger leaves.
Take me back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid, 'cause all we had was eyes. If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I know.
That's it. So easy, and this might be my favorite today. You'll have to let me know what you think.
I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying to come back to you because now I see we were meant to be.
This is a cutting board from IKEA, and these are rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree. Now, I cut out a few of the words that said spring and one that said tiptoe through the tulips. I guess I just didn't particularly like that one. And what I did was I left everything else on there that I really liked, and I kind of positioned to see if it would fit on the cutting board. And then I laid it exactly where I wanted it. And then I took my little scraper tool and I had to go over every single part. So this was a little time consuming, but oh my gosh, you guys, this is so worth it. This looks so high end and expensive when it's done, and it's gorgeous. And I took the S from the word spring that I cut off so that I could have it say S for our last name. Took some polyacrylic 1 coat by Minwax, did a couple coats on the top, and that's it. That is all it took, and this looks so gorgeous and so expensive. And that cutting board was less than $10, and the transfer was $1.25. I absolutely love this one. What do you think? Two-sided things, I'm going to turn that IKEA cutting board over, and we're going to do something different to the back. And so one you can use, during the nice months of the year, and one will be just for the summertime only. I've got these cute little ice cream cone napkins. There were 16 and they were all 2-ply. And then the best way to get rid of the plies is to somewhere on the back, put a little piece of tape, and then it will just kind of pull apart gently. Actually, much easier than if you don't use a piece of tape. I'm going to lay down some Mod Podge on the surface where I'm going to put that napkin. And then I'm just going to try to center it the best I can. And I'm going to lay that napkin down very gently with my fingers. And once I have it in place, I'm going to get out my brayer. Because it's not wet on the top, I can roll the brayer across. Then I'm going to lay down some Mod Podge on the top, and it's being very careful to mind the ends and make sure that they lay down. I did actually get it a little too wet at the top on the right, and I have to do a little repair, which is kind of cool because I can at least show you how I did it. Just cut off a piece of a napkin, and I'm just going to lay it right over it and put some Mod Podge on it, and it fixes where it kind of smudged up a little bit.
Take me back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid.
I'm going to use some Dollar Tree twine, and I'm just going to line the little diagonal lines on the cone, kind of bring it to 3-dimensional. I love doing that. So just very carefully, I'm going to glue down little pieces of the twine and cut them off when I reach the end. And I'll go back and forth so they almost look like they're interwoven. You'll see here in just a second. There you go. And I love that look. And then I've got this really cute kind of, I don't know, I guess you would call it like an ombre yarn. It's very thin. I believe I got it from Walmart. And I'm just going to line the outside of the ice cream. And that also brings that to life. And I really love it. I think it came out super, super cute. Then I've got some ribbon from the Dollar Tree. There's some rickrack ribbon and then like a plaid. So I'm going to use 2 pieces of the plaid, 2 of each the pink and the blue rickrack. I'm going to make a messy bow where you just crisscross them. And I put a little piece of that very fine pink yarn underneath it. I'm just going to tie off a knot and then wrap it around to give it a little bit of a center. And then I'll knot it again, and I'm going to put a dab of hot glue on it and set it right on the neck of the cutting board. And that's it. What a cute little summer cutting board, and it's 2-sided, which I love. Do you like to do 2-sided things? You'll have to let me know if that's one of your kind of favorite things to do like mine. has the cutest rub-on transfers. I actually end up using different ones for this, you'll see. And then I've got this cute little sign. I think I got it at Family Dollar. Anyway, I'm going to use this heavy-duty staple remover that I got on Amazon. It's really the best staple remover I've ever used, and it's always going to be in my Amazon store, and that link is in the description box if you are interested. And then I'm going to remove the tag with my heat tool. I'm going to sand where the little staples were, and then I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to paint the entire sign. Eventually, I do the back too. Now I'm going to take my Agave Waverly chalk paint, and I'm just going to do the word home. I love that color. It's so fresh, summery. And then I'm going to take the word welcome from that rub-on transfer set, and I'm going to go ahead and set it down where I want it. And then I'm going to start rubbing over it and having the part of the transfer that's on there release onto the surface. Now, I forgot to put Mod Podge down first, and it lifted a little bit of the paint. So as soon as I get this one on, well, actually, after the next little piece, I get that on, I'm going to go back, put the Mod Podge on, and then put the rest of the rub-on transfers. I should have done that first. So just something to keep in mind. If you're just using paint and you painted and it wasn't that long ago, you should probably put some Mod Podge or some kind of a seal down. Just going to rub it on and make sure it's on there good. And here's where I realized that I needed to put the Mod Podge on. And you'll see in a second. Here, it picks up some of that agave paint. So I go ahead and touch that up, and then I put the Mod Podge on, like I said, and then I will wait for that to dry, and then I can put on the rest of my rub-on transfers. I had some of these left over. This is one of my favorite rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to kind of cut out the pieces I want that look like little leaves or vines. And I'm just going to place them in various places around the outside of the wood circle. And I think that's just really pretty. And there's definitely a little bit of the agave in some of them, or at least a similar color. So it really tied this all together really well. I've got this kind of ivy vine from IKEA. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of cut off some pieces, and I'm going to hot glue it to the back, but so that you can see the ivy leaves around the outside. And that kind of turns this into more of a wreath. It is so pretty with those ivy leaves. I just was wondering what I was going to do with it. I knew I had to buy it. It was very inexpensive. And these are very lightweight, so they glue on with the hot glue very easily. I just set a little bit underneath and some over the top. And then after they were all on, I went and added even a little bit more hot glue just to make sure they were nice and solid. I'm going to add a little twine hanger, and that's it. Let me know what you think of this one. Little tin planter from Walmart, and I forgot to film it, but I did some very dry brushing it back and forth on the whole outside surface of it using my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm sorry about that. And then I put Mod Podge over the whole thing. I'm going to use these really cute rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to use that part in the middle that has the rectangle around it. So what I'm going to do is cut them out first.
If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I know I should be. 'Cause honestly,
And then I'm just going to remove the backing very carefully, not to touch that transfer part. And I'm going to find out where I want to put it, and I'm just going to secure it on there. And then I'm going to start rubbing, well, first with my fingernail just around the rectangle because it's just so small. And then I'll use my little wood stick, and I will rub over, all of the bigger parts of it.
I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying to come back to you because now I see we were meant to be.
Now that I'm pretty sure it's on there, I'm going to slowly pull it off, but if I see any part that I need to go back over, I will quickly set it down and just like I'm doing there, rub over it. And I've got one more that I found, and then I can pull the rest off. And I didn't care if it was perfect because it is kind of a distressed piece. So I'm just going to burnish over the top. I'm going to use some Mod Podge right over the top of that too because I want to make sure that that transfer stays in place and doesn't get rubbed off. I think it looks so cute. I love that transfer. Now I've got a lot of different greenery, some from Pop Shelf, some from Dollar Tree. But at first I'm going to put 2 plastic bags into the bottom of the tin planter because I want to fill it up. And then these gorgeous lavender I got from Pop Shelf, that whole bunch for $3. And then I've got these other ones from the Dollar Tree that I had ordered a case from a couple years ago. I love those. They're hard to find. So I'm just going to cut 3 pieces off of the lavender, one taller than the other 2. And then I'm going to cut some pieces off of the Dollar Tree pick. And I'm just going to kind of arrange them with the lavender, the focal point, and the rest as more accent.
Just tell me where and I'll come see ya.
I'm going to take some Spanish moss that I got at Walmart and just fill up the top of that tin planter. And that way I can kind of shape the, how I want my pieces to go. Super easy to arrange, and I love how it turned out. This was my husband's favorite. Rub-on transfer hack. I'm going to use that Happiness is Homemade transfer in that one set. I've got this cute little, I don't know, kind of a jar, if you will, and I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol just to make sure the glass is nice and clean before I set that rub-on transfer right on there. And then I will go ahead and rub it on with my little wooden stick that I have. That came with another transfer set that I ordered online a while back, and I really like using it for this because it's not too sharp. Anyway, I thought it matched really nice with the color of that lid. This was like a P.F. Chang's, I think, orange sauce jar or something. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off, and it all adhered very well. I'm just going to burnish it on there.
'Cause I'm afraid that I'll end up here alone. Hope you
Now on the lid, you could see like the price or the whatever they stamp on there. So I used some rubbing alcohol and I got some of it off, but not quite all of it. So then I put some on, let it soak, rubbed it off, still left it on there. So then I took a little scraper tool and I scraped it off, but then that kind of made the lid look funny. So then I painted it with some rose gold paint, and now it sort of looks like a button. Anyway, I ended up doing something different, you'll see. I've got this really cool white and natural twine colored coastal twine from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to hot glue the first little end of it and wrap it all the way around up to the lid of this glass jar.
understand how much I need ya. Take me back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid.
When I get to the top, I'm just going to cut it off and then add a little bit of hot glue to secure that end piece, and that just works out really well. I love the way this looks. It's such cool looking twine. And then I decided to cover up what I tried to do to fix the top of the lid by doing kind of a swirl design with that same twine around and around, and just hot gluing it till it gets to kind of that taller edge. Now I'm going to get these white and kind of turquoise colored rocks from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to pour some of each in there, and I'm turning this into a little bit of a coastal piece. Perfect for summer. And then I've got these seashells. Only one of them would fit right in the hole, so I put it in there. But then I took my tin snips from Amazon. That's such a great tool. I don't know how else I would have done this. And just snapped the shells in half, and I put a couple of them in there just to get some seashells in there. Then I've got some of these little wood branch slices, and I put a couple in there just to make it look like driftwood. And then I've got a piece of greenery that is really cheap, but it looks like it's in the water, so I put it in there, and that's it. What do you think about this one? I love how it turned out. Just using this darker nautical rope, a bunch of different scrapbook papers, and this old shelf that I just had laying around and wasn't using. And the first thing that I'm going to do is sand it down so that I can paint it and the paint will stick. And I'm just using my little sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree. Then I'm going to wipe off all the dust with a cloth. Then I picked all of these cute little coastal themed pieces of scrapbook paper, and now I'm just going to cut them down to little strips that will fit on my board, and I'm going to be making a sign with these, and I use my little cutter to do that. And now I'm just figuring out my pattern that I want to do, and then I'm going to Mod Podge them all down to this board, and I'm going to just start from one end, work towards the middle, and then go on the other end and work back towards the middle. That way I establish the pattern pattern that I did, and I can make sure that everything is even. And I'm using my little brayer to flatten it out and get rid of bubbles. And I have all of my tools like the brayer and other things down in my Amazon store. If you need something like that, feel free to check that out. It does help my channel and it doesn't cost you anything extra. And thanks in advance if you do that. And like I said, I am just going ahead and arranging these with Mod Podge, and I'm loving this paper. I got it at Hobby Lobby. It was like a coastal themed little mini book. It is just gorgeous. And then I overlap those little striped ones right in the middle because I just love them. Now that it's all on, I'm just making sure I get all the bubbles out, and I'm going to sand all of the edges going all the way around, because sometimes you get a little hangover of the paper, and this gives it a nice clean edge, and it kind of makes it look like it's part of the board. And then I'm going to clean up all the dust from the sanding with my little Ladybug vacuum. It's just a lifesaver. I'm using my white primer Kills paint to paint all around the edges because some of them are unfinished. And this way, it just gives it, again, more of that coastal look, kind of distresses the edges a little bit. I'm going to dry it off with my heat tools so that I can move forward more quickly. I'm not the most patient person, so I don't like to wait. Now I'm going to get out a pencil, and after I open up my nautical rope, and I'm going to write out the word beach going vertically down my sign. And that way I know exactly where to put my rope. I'm going to put some Mod Podge over the top just to make sure that everything is sealed and the paper doesn't come off. And once that is dry, then I'm going to start cutting my rope to cover the letters that I drew out. I'm actually going to do all the straight pieces first. So it looks like I'm doing this in a weird order, but I just thought it'd be easier to get all the straight pieces on there, and I'm hot gluing them right to the sign. And then I will come back in and do the curved pieces. And I'm loving how this is turning out. It was actually super easy. Honestly, it looks like it would be kind of hard to do, but it's really not. I thought it would take longer than it did. It was super fast, and actually it's kind of fun. I enjoyed doing it. And now that I got to the B, that's the last letter. And I was looking at this thinking, it's almost a little dark, and I wanted it to look like maybe the sand was hitting it, you know, so it would look a little worn. So I took a white Arteza paint marker and I just lightly brushed over the top of every letter, and that gave it that really beachy kind of coastal look that I was going for. And I love it, because think about it, there's always sand in the air and everything gets misted with it, and this kind of gave it that feel. So it's super, super cute. On the back of the sign, there were these little holes from where the shelf was. So what I did was I cut some more nautical rope and I hot glued it down into those little grooves where the holes are. And once I did that, I took 2 screws, and I thought this is a very heavy shelf, so I couldn't just put it on with glue. And I used my drill and I screwed in a screw on each side and made it really secure, and that's it. I absolutely love how this turned out, and honestly, it was super easy. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you like it. Surfboard tray that I got at the Dollar Tree. It's so cute just the way it is, but I did decide that I wanted to do something different to it using my Kills white primer paint. Honestly, it took like 3.5 coats to cover. I added a little piece of rope on the back and I hot glued it down and put some masking tape over that and hot glued it down. And that's my little hanger. I wanted to do that before I finish working on the front. Now I've got these stickers from the Dollar Tree, and what I'm going to do is make a cute little design on here. I'm going to tape the center off because I don't want any paint that I'm going to use to go on there. So I'm using the Ocean and Crystal from Waverly. I'm just going to blend them together to make a really cool looking blue with a little whitewash kind of, or crystal wash I should say, on it for the surfboard. And I just love the effect. It just looks so cool. Very beachy. And then of course, removing the tape, the satisfying part, which I did get a little bleed. So I'm using my white paint. I'm just gonna touch that up real quick. I probably should have painted white on the edges first and then done the blue, but you know what? Live and learn. Now I'm going to figure out the positioning because I'm going to use two different kinds of stickers. So this first set, I'm going to put the word life, and then I'm going to use a different set of stickers and put the word salt. Cute little saying, salt life. Of course, very coastal, very beachy, and you guys, I'm absolutely loving it. It was so easy, and I'm going to cover that with Mod Podge to make sure my stickers don't go anywhere. And that's it. This one is done. I mean, come on, you guys. How easy is that? I love it, and I hope you guys like it. I love the way this one looks. I'm just kind of cleaning it off with a little bit of alcohol. And then I have this burlap that I got at Walmart, and I'm going to measure out a piece that will fit all the way around. And then I'm going to cut both sides because I don't want those edges. I want to be able to fray it, and I have to cut off the edges to do that. And it was also a little bit too thick for this jar. I've also got these seashells I got at the Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to take this burlap and I'm going to pull the strands so that it looks very frayed on both sides. And then I'm going to wrap it around my jar, and I'm going to hot glue it to the jar and to itself. That way it'll stay in place. And I just love that look. It's so cute. It looks very beachy. And then after I secure that onto the jar, I'm going to take this ribbon that I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. And it's perfect for a coastal. I'm just going to cut a piece, wrap it around, and hot glue it to the burlap. And that'll just be a nice little embellishment to give it even more of a coastal flair and give it the colors that I want that go in our bedroom, which is a coastal themed decor. Next, I'm going to take my seashells, and I'm actually going to put them all inside of the jar because you can see through it a little bit on the bottom and on the top. But I am going to take one, and I'm going to hot glue it right to the front of the jar and right in the center of the ribbon. It's so cute, you guys. I just love that little extra touch. I think it's so fun. Next, I'm going to take some white nautical rope. It was 3-stranded, and I took it down to 1, and I'm just going to wrap it around the threads of the jar because I'm not going to use the lid, and I want to cover that up, and I think that adds to the whole coastal vibe. And then I've got these, you know, from the foam brushes, I always save the little sticks, and I'm going to use some Warm Buff paint by Apple Barrel, and I'm going to paint them. And then I'm going to take some Antique Wax by Waverly and distress them, and I want them to kind of look like driftwood. That's what I'm going for anyway. Once I finish that, they will go inside of the jar along with some really pretty dried flowers that my friend Jenny from Loving Moments Creating gave me. And I think they just look so beachy, so cute, and I really hope you guys like it. I absolutely love this one. Bowl that has these blue flowers, leaves, and there's actually some white ones that are tall, and I don't know why I have it at this angle. That was a mistake. Anyway, I'm just going to take everything out of the bowl. Those are the lighter ones that I took out. And then I'm going to also remove that floral foam. And it was really put in there very hodgepodgey, I guess. So it was kind of hard to get it all out, which I finally did. And then I took the bowl and washed it. And now I'm going to clean it off with some alcohol too, just to make sure, you know, it did come from a thrift shop. Now I'm going to use all this Waverly paint, crystal, ocean, and plaster. I do end up adding tulle as well. This is an inspiration from my friend Leonette from DIY Beauty on Purpose. She made this bowl, which I will link down below, and she made it look like the feeling of the ocean, and I love that idea, and I thought this was the perfect bowl. So I'm just taking each color with kind of a chippy brush and just randomly putting it on, not covering, just kind of wherever, leaving spaces. So I'm using the darker one first, which is gorgeous. I think that was the ocean. And then I'm going to take the plaster and I'm just going to randomly paint, and you can already see like foam, water, waves, you know, it's just there. There's like a movement in it. I absolutely love this so much. And I got to tell you, it was kind of relaxing to do. You just don't want to get heavy-handed. You can always go back over and add more, but I just kept adding. And then I went in and I added the next color, which was the crystal. And then eventually I decided I think it needs a little bit more light, but I didn't want to do more plaster. So that's when I decided to add in the pool color by Waverly. These colors are gorgeous. I love them so much. And it kind of just blended in places, and it subdued the deeper blue. Oh gosh, you guys, it's so pretty. I didn't do the very bottom. I don't know, because there's no reason to, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. So now I'm just kind of touching up wherever I think it needs a little more. And I'm going to use the ink color, which is basically black from Waverly. I'm going to paint the entire inside. That way you won't see those little pieces that wouldn't come off of that foam. I'm going to take a clear coat by Krylon, and I took it outside and I painted inside and out to seal it. And now I'm taking these flowers because they're light and springy, and I'm not going to use foam. I'm just going to bend them. I'm going to snip them off of the stems, and then I'm going to bend them and just kind of position them, you know, just any way I like. You can do this however you want to do it. And I'm just going to have them draping over the side. And you guys, I love this one. You can change out the flowers. It's so pretty, and I definitely feel the ocean. You'll have to let me know what you think. And thank you, Leonette, for the inspiration. This is one of my favorite pieces. It was so easy to do. You could take any bowl or vase and do something like this. Anyway, I just love it, and I really hope you do too. Have gorgeous napkins I got at Hobby Lobby, and so I'm going to go ahead and cover up the center again, and I'm going to take my napkin out, and it's a 3-ply napkin, so you've got to remove 2 of the pieces and just leave the very front. It's harder to do, but it's possible. So anyway, there was 1, there's 2, and now I'm only going to use the top piece. It will not work right if you do all of them or some of them. Anyway, I'm trying to flatten out the folds just a little bit. I'm going to use my Kills primer, and I'll apply it with a little foam brush that I got on Amazon. It's a great deal. The reason I'm using the white primer is because the paper is pretty thin in the napkin, and in case you see through it, I want you to see white and not the color that the mirror was. Once I get that completely covered, I'm going to take my napkin and I'm going to position it. And I like to do this in sections. I'm going to use some Mod Podge. I'm just going to apply some with a brush, and then I will lay down that little side, and I'm going to smooth it out with my fingers. Because this is like different textures and heights, I won't be able to use a brayer. I could use saran wrap, but it was dry enough. I didn't overload the Mod Podge, which is really important. You don't want to put like an excessive amount, or else your fingers will get wet as you do it, and then you'll start pulling up the napkin. So it's just really important to keep your fingers dry and just use the least amount of Mod Podge that you need for it to stick. And believe me, with this one little ply of the napkin, it doesn't need a whole lot. So I'm just going around the whole thing, and then when I got to like the end there, I realized one little corner wasn't covered. So I just tore off a piece, and it's a busy enough pattern that you won't even notice. So that worked out really nice. I didn't have to match it up. And now I'm just going to add more of the Mod Podge once I'm done touching it. And that way when it dries, I can just pull off the edges like so. And it makes it so nice. You just kind of rip them off. And I'm using the brush to help me by keeping that wet, and it really does make it go nice. And then I can lay it down with the wet brush so there's nothing sticking up. You know, the possibilities with this are endless. You could use so many different beautiful napkins, you know, that would fit your decor. I love that about it. Now it's time to get that middle piece out. I'm just going to use a little blade, like an X-Acto knife, very carefully, and just gently go around using my finger to guide me, and then I'll be able to go back in with that little art brush and a little bit of Mod Podge and kind of clean that up. So that came out really nice. And then I've got this white twine. I believe I got it at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use hot glue. And I'm going to go around 3 times in the center, and that way it covers up anything that was just kind of left sloppy. And then I will also, of course, clean the mirror, just using alcohol to do that. I'm going to take Waverly chalk paint in the color Agave, which is gorgeous, and I'm just going to paint the edges, and that kind of cleans up if there was any excess napkin or anything. And I just thought that was a perfect touch, and it matched one of the colors in the napkin. So I've got two ribbons, this gorgeous blue and then this very sheer iridescent one. I'm going to use a little bit of dots of hot glue to attach them together, and it's so weird it ends up looking almost like denim when I'm done. But I'm just going to do a little crisscross and I'm going to attach it to the back. All these mirrors have hangers already. There's little hangers built into them, but this one I thought was so pretty with the ribbon that matched. So that's why I did it. It wasn't necessary, it was just more aesthetic, but I also, I'm securing it really good with extra ribbon and hot glue so it can be used as an actual hanger. I really love this one. It's going to go in my bedroom, which is a coastal theme. I hope you like it. Really pretty napkins and some cardboard that's meant to go in the back of some shelves I got, but I didn't use it for that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to freehand draw just a basic fish shape, and then I'm going to use my blade and cut it out, and then I'm going to continue and put it over the top of more of this cardboard and cut several of them. I'm going to be making this really cool fish wall decor. It's super fun. I saw this on wayfair.com and it was $67. Isn't that crazy? Theirs was made out of metal, so that's probably part of the reason it was so expensive. After I cut all of these fish shapes out, I'm also going to take some of them and draw a line in the inside and cut out like the center. You'll see here in just a second. I'm just going to make like an outline of a fish on some of them. It will be easier when you see it than for me to explain it. So here I go drawing that right now. And once I draw that outline, I'm going to take my blade and I'm just going to cut out that center piece. And that way I have like a thin outline of a fish to go along with the whole fish. And it's just going to make for a super interesting piece. Now to decorate each of the fish, I'm going to use different things. So I'm going to take this 3-strand white nautical rope and just pull off one of them. And I'm going to put that over one of the whole fish and just going to hot glue that down. And it looks really cool. Definitely very coastal feel. For the next fish, I'm going to use this gorgeous napkin and I'm just going to decoupage that right onto the surface, just like I would any kind of decoupage. Now this is a 3-ply napkin, so you have to remember to take off 2 pieces before you use it, otherwise it will not work. I've tried it or done it by mistake before and not fun. So once I get all of the pieces apart, I'm just going to put Mod Podge down on the fish. I'm going to then put the napkin over the top, and once it's dry, I'm going to carefully rip the edges off, and then I'm going to sand around the edges as well to make sure that there are no little loose pieces. Because the napkin's so thin and I don't want to rip anything, I'm going to put a little saran wrap over the top and then use my brayer. I don't do that on scrapbook paper or heavier tissue paper, but on napkins sometimes I do that just because I don't want to rip it. And now I'm just covering the top with more Mod Podge. For my next fish, I'm going to use this really cute coastal scrapbook paper. I'm just going to Mod Podge it on. Basically the same process, but I don't need to use saran wrap. Cut around the edges, make sure it's nice and secure, use my brayer, and then I'm just going to go ahead and sand the edges and make sure that there's no loose ends. Super, super easy. For this next one, I'm going to use the darker nautical rope and just basically do the same thing I did with the other nautical rope and hot glue it all the way around until the whole thing is covered. It looks so cool, you guys. And then I'm going to use another cute piece of scrapbook paper for this fish. And then on this fish, I'm going to paint. I'm going to use some of the Ocean Color by Waverly. It's chalk paint. And then I'm going to use some of the Crystal. And I'm also going to use a little bit of the Agave. And I'm just going to kind of blend the colors on there until I really like the way it looks. Kind of like an ocean vibe. Moving on to one of the thinner fish, I'm going to use that crystal color and I'm just going to paint over the top of that and around the edges. And then I'm also going to use some white chalk paint and I'm going to go ahead and go all around the edges of this fish. And then on the next one, I'm going to use the apple barrel color warm buff and go all around this one, the edges, the top, and everything. And this is just so cool. You could do anything you want, any colors, any paper, tissue, whatever it is, or rope. And now I'm going to also use that dark nautical rope on this one and put it all the way around the edge with the hot glue, just like I did the rest, except for that it's thinner. Now that all my fish are decorated, I'm going to figure out the positioning and how I want to lay them out. Once I decide that, I'm going to get my hot glue gun out and I'm going to just hot glue every point where they touch one another so that it's nice and secure. And I do go to the back after and reinforce it as well. What's really fun about this is you can arrange them any way you want. You can put them in different directions, whatever you like. You can be super creative and original when you do this. Once this was assembled, I just put a little rope on the back with hot glue and some masking tape over it, and it's ready to go. You guys, I love it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you make this? Little trivet. It's like a little tile with some, I don't know what mosaic kind of seashell looking things, and it's framed with a wooden frame. So it's like a trivet or a stand or a coaster. And I couldn't get the coaster out, so I just taped around it, and I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalk to linen white paint, very carefully paint around all of the frame front and back and over the back of the tile because it showed the price tag, which was $2. And it looks so nice and clean and fresh now. And then I've got these little rub-on transfers of seashells and sea-like things from the Dollar Tree. And I picked two that were really cute. So I'm gonna take my little scraper and rub this one on. And I had it going over the corners. So then you just gotta be careful, fold it, rub on both sides, and then you can remove it. And that was super easy. It went right on. And I didn't have any problems with this one. Just, I think I saw one little dot that didn't make it, so I scraped it a little bit. And there it is. And then I'm going to put one in the opposing corner, and it's super cute as well. And I just love them. They were the right color for those little tiles, and it just worked out perfectly. And I think this will look really cute in my bedroom, which is a coastal theme. If you've been watching me for a while, you've heard that before. And lately I've been kind of updating and making some new things for my room. So this will be really cute in there. I'm going to hot glue some jute around that tile. Anyway, I'm going to get all the way around the four sides. And that's it for this project. I love it. It was easy, and I hope you like it. That's from Dollar Tree. These were from Hobby Lobby. They were $2.99, but on clearance. A piece of the longer wood sign with the seahorse cut out on it, and then a frame from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put the tape on the back of the napkin, rip it apart, and I got this really cool cutting tool. My friend Leonette at DIY Beauty on Purpose mentioned it in a video, and I thought, I need to have that. So anyway, I'll put her link down in the description box, and you can see just how nice this thing cuts. Excuse my table, it was moving a little bit because I was putting way too much pressure. So what I did was I just cut off that top piece where the holes were, and I just sand around the edges and clean them up. And now I've got this cute little piece that I can do something with, where I already used that bottom of it. It was a much longer side. I'm going to take everything out of the frame, and I'm not going to need the glass, so we're just going to put that aside. And then I've got this piece of cardboard, and I'm going to trace the backing of the frame on it and cut it out because I want to put everything on a piece of cardboard. Otherwise, there'll be too much space in the frame because the glass won't be going back. So I'm going to use that little cutter tool again, and it looks how nice it is. It's also got a great little hand grip. Anyway, that should be in my Amazon store. I will make sure it gets in there in case you guys want to check it out. Anyway, I'm going to lay the napkin right over the top of this cardboard. And again, I'm going to do it in sections. Just lay a very little bit of Mod Podge down, gently rub with my fingers to make sure that it stays. And I'm always rubbing towards the edges. That way, if there's any wrinkles or bubbles, they can be, kind of come out by the time you hit the edge. I am going to put another coat of Mod Podge over the entire thing just to make sure it's all nice and sealed in there. And once it dries, I'm going to take my nail file, go around the edges and clean them up in a downward motion. So there you can see me with the nail file. So now that I've got that done, you can see that it's all finished. And I'm going to take that gold frame. Gold isn't really my thing here, so I'm going to paint it with the Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint. And I do want it to look a little bit distressed, and since the gold is underneath, I'll just take the nail file, go around, and let some of that gold show through, and that would be a really cool way to distress it. So that's all done. Now I'm going to place everything back in, including the new piece of cardboard with the napkin on it. I love that napkin. There we are. And now I'm just going to take that seahorse piece of wood. I'm just going to hot glue it right in the middle. That's how easy this is. And look how cute it's going to turn out. And it will go in my bedroom with all my other coastal things. And actually that napkin matches the mirror that's in there. So I just, not a matchy, but a little bit. Anyway, I love this. And I hope you guys love it too. So I'm curious, what is your favorite decorating style? Let me know down in the comments. Ready for more inspiration? Here's another video I think you'll really like. If you click on it, I will see you there. You are truly a blessing to me. Bye!